By the way, my did you notice my aspect thing is off? I'm looking the wrong way.
Are you?
Yeah, look, I'm looking at you right now.
Yeah, but it looks the same.
But look, I'm looking like that way in the thing. Are we supposed to be looking towards the middle? You see what I'm saying?
That's the right way. That's the right perspective.
But look at which way I'm facing. I look like I'm looking away from you.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
I don't know, but you're looking at me if you look at me. Watch, look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking directly in the middle.
I think it's because your camera's on your... No, I don't know.
You fucked it up. It's fine.
I don't think it's... I think it might be...
I'll live with it. It's like I'm not talking to you anyway.
Yeah, but it's the same perspective that I have, right?
Yeah, but you'd have to opposite the perspective for me because I'd be looking towards the end, like I'm looking towards you.
So from your perspective... No, because from your
look,
perspective, I'm holding up my right arm,
looking...
and that's what it looks like on there. I'm holding up my right arm, and that, from this perspective, is your right arm. If I flipped it, it would look like your left arm. So it is right. It's just the way that it
Whatever.
is.
I don't care.
Sounds like you care.
It sounds like you care.
It sounds like you care.
Are you sensitive today because it's your birthday?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
He's 37.
I'm 37 years old. You wouldn't believe it looking at me, but...
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. In fact, you'd probably think you were a little older. You're 37 in the face, but you're like 104 in the body.
104 in the body.
What, buddy? Seriously, relax. That's dude still hitting me up. Please fix my bathroom. Fix it. Fix it. My bathroom.
Looks like we're live on a Rumble.
All right. This podcast brought to you by Bud Light Lime
and Little Caesars.
And Little Caesars. Oh. Let's not forget the shameless
Little Caesars plug.
They didn't pay for anything. No, in fact, I paid for this. I paid for all of this. Whatever. Soon, we'll get them to.
All right.
We'll get them to start sponsoring us.
Soon, yeah. Mm-hmm. We've sent out several emails. Haven't heard back yet, but I think we're getting. We're close.
We're getting there, man. We're getting there. It'll
happen.
It's
just about getting the right guy.
It'll happen. One of these videos are bound to go viral.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody wants to see two assholes talking on a podcast.
Let's start by talking about. So I didn't pull any articles up to start because I'm going to try and see how easy it is to do it this way the entire time. But let's start talking about the thumbnail of this video, which I'll pull it up so you can actually see what it is, so you know what it is. It's just, oh, maybe it won't come up. No. There it is. Vladimir Putin and nuclear war.
Yeah.
Now, this is, it's because of this one particular article. Well, not so much this article. The article talks about a story where, I guess, two of the top Russian military officials, two of the three people that have the nuclear keys, are kind of missing from the public eye. They just kind of disappeared, and so this has kind of sparked a lot of rumors what's going on. And this is an interesting topic because obviously the third guy is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
So now Putin, everybody who has nuclear controls in Russia is gone.
It's Vladimir Putin and his horse. So he gives the other key to his horse, and then they both turn at the same time.
That's right.
Guy's a nut job.
Yeah.
He's going wackadoo. But I'm sure some of it is the media portraying it too. But I don't know. Who knows what to believe? He seems to be getting more and more unhinged the older he gets.
Well, what I thought was interesting was this point that they brought up on Tim Pool's show, where I totally fucked this up here.
Wow.
Let's get rid of that. They talk about this could easily just be sort of like a red herring.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about the possibility of Russia using tactical nukes instead, and they don't need that kind of authority to use tactical nukes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for them to use big nukes.
No, of course not.
So what they're saying is that it might be almost like a scare tactic or like a red herring, so that everyone's like kind of freaking out that they might they might do this. But
why have a nuke if you can't threaten to use it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is kind of the point.
Yeah, it's like, well, think about it. They have the most nukes of any country on the planet. So, yeah, they have that one little thing in their pocket to say, hey, yeah, well, we could use this. And if you keep people on edge to think that you might, that could serve a purpose, right?
Well, yeah, it puts everybody where you want them to be.
Great. You can't go an all-out assault on Russia. And especially if you believe that Vladimir Putin is unhinged, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do?
That's right.
You can't go directly at him. You can do these sanctions and shit like that and kind of keep poking the bear, but keep your distance. All right, listen, get organized, man.
I don't know why.
I don't care if it's your birthday or not, man.
Letting me
you're going to get fired.
Click the thing.
You're going to get fired. Because you're trying to do it off your phone. Do it off the laptop like you used to.
I don't have the link on the laptop.
Worst.
It should just allow me to paste the
Worst
thing.
podcast ever. But March 25th is going to go down as the day that everybody knows that
everybody hates us.
Transcend the Monkey jumped the shark. We're going to be like, hey, they were on a trajectory before that. They were on an upward trajectory, and now
I'll do that after.
Just fell out.
I'll pull up the article here.
I think to do something about that. Fucking.
Yeah, I don't know how to make it stop.
Make it stop.
Top Russian military.
And this is where all three people that were watching tuned out.
That's okay, no one's watching.
You would be surprised, man. I heard there's like at least 4 people watching right now.
There we go. Top Russian leaders suddenly vanish.
Who's reporting that, though?
News.com. I guess also there were other websites saying that.
No, but it's funny, though. News.com.
Yeah, news.com.
No, it's like
reporting list. They've just been out of the public eye.
Yeah. How did they get fucking news.com, by the way? Seems like, you know what I mean? It's like, that would be the site to get. Where are you getting all your news from? News.com, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's also .au, so it's Australian.
Oh. Some guy way back 30 years ago went, I'm buying the rights to this.
I mean, probably, and then someone else bought it from them.
You know, there's some asshole that's holding like
a whole line
thousands of names.
Oh yeah, that's
hostage.
Like, man, there's people who've made so much money from just having the right URLs or the right domain names. Mm-hmm. But so yeah, this article is just gonna load up here
while we watch you chomp.
No. I don't think we necessarily need to read it because it's just pointing out that these guys who have the nuclear, basically the Russian nuclear football, are missing. The only other guy is Vladimir Putin. So a lot of people are a little bit worried that this means that they're getting ready for a nuclear strike.
Yes, it's convenient.
But then again, yeah, what they're saying is that to use a tactical nuke, they don't actually need that kind of clearance. So this could easily just be like some fucking waving their hands around kind of fear-mongering, make everybody sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
And to see, I don't know. Does that serve a purpose? Like, what, like...
I don't know.
Maybe it does.
I don't honestly, like, I was just talking to somebody about this at work, and, get fucking, what's the grease on that shit? Look at that. Are you greasing up the table? Fucking fucker.
It's mostly in the napkin.
Yeah, thanks. This was only a $500 poker table I had to go and get from Toronto. That's okay. You can get it next time. Yeah, you can get it next time. That's all. What was I gonna say before you so rudely interrupted me with your greasy?
Have you been following this Ukraine stuff? Like,
not really. But I was talking to a guy at work, and
it's just, and it seems to keep escalating.
But No, but you know what? It seems like it's escalating, but then maybe it's not escalating. Then they talk escalating. Then they talk about there might be some sort of settlement talks or
Yeah, but that seems to me to be Western propaganda. Like, because based on what keeps happening, it seems like it's escalating. And then the West is like, oh, Russia's struggling. They're getting, decimated in some areas. So look at all these troops that they lost, and they're strategically inept here. But then then a couple days later they escalate some more. So it seems like the West is like trying to play it up that Russia is a paper tiger, effectively. Yeah. And I mean that's kind of true because you would have expected them to have taken the whole country by now.
I don't think they're trying. They're just trying to. They're just trying to take key infrastructure and such, right?
Yeah, but you'd expect them to have it anyway. Whatever they're trying to take, you would expect them to be able to just stomp on Ukraine.
It's not. It doesn't
but
work.
They haven't.
It doesn't work like that though. A lot of times when you get and they're not a superpower, but they're a pretty formidable force. But when you get a really strong power versus a not so strong, it's weird when you're attacking like someone's home. So have you ever heard of the Boer War?
The what war?
The Boer War.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, this is back in, I think, the 1700s, something like that. I'd have to look it up. I don't know the specifics. I just know it was basically, I think it was about 300,000 English troops versus like 30,000 Dutch farmers.
Right, so you have instances throughout history of
where they
small
just
groups.
When they're defending their home, where they don't give up and they're just fucking ferocious. And they look at every one of the last sort of wars that the U.S. have been in. They've never been on the right side of it. They just end up retreating because they're like, fuck, man. It's a dogfight. Nobody wants that dogfight.
Right.
It's like it ends up. Like, or even like Vietnam, where it was like they would go into the bush and then they would run into Viet Cong and they would try and get the hell out of there and just do a mass airstrike. But it was hand-to-hand combat. They were getting their asses handed to them. Like it was just they didn't know
the territory.
They don't know
Everybody
the territory.
Else, they knew all the
exactly.
Caves. They had dug out a bunch of caves. They had traps everywhere.
Right. So it's just a gross type of fight, right? So I can imagine it's the same to some degree for the Russians versus the Ukrainians, right? Ukrainians, like, despite the Seinfeld episode where he goes, Ukraine is weak.
Yeah.
They're not weak.
No, clearly not.
They're Russian people and they're fucking tough. So they're not just gonna get walked on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think none of these kind of wars go the way they would want them to go, or the way it would seem like movies would make it seem when you get a strong power versus a not very strong power. And I'm guessing also that you're not really hearing about the what do you call it, the undisclosed help that maybe the Ukraine are getting, right, from other countries, like just in armaments and things like that. I'm sure they're getting a lot of help that we're not really being told about because they don't want it to be mainstream knowledge, right?
Well, yeah, you do have a lot of money and weapons going into Ukraine from the U.S. You have that actually might be an interesting transition into this.
I always do that. I'm really good at that.
Other story. I think I had it pulled up here. Yeah. Let's see. Basically, there were a bunch of Reddit people posting like pictures and stuff that got at least 100 Ukrainian troops killed.
What?
Yeah. The way that they did this is by posting pictures, right? And so anybody that, I don't know, is...
Take that off of the felt.
This is the article here. Yeah. Reddit users unknowingly assist Russian airstrike on Ukrainian base. Over 100 troops confirmed dead.
Who's reporting this?
This was from The Outlooker.
The Outlooker.
The Outlooker.
You never know. You never like.
So
who
what
do you
they're
trust?
saying is what happened is because you do have these instances of people from the internet going into Ukraine to try to fight this war. Like that has been happening, which is so baffling. But I mean, this is also this whole desensitization of war in our culture. People think that they could just go and I don't know. They think war is all fun and games. I guess they don't necessarily really understand what's going on. But they're posting these pictures, and because of the pictures, the Russians were able to kind of figure out where they were,
Right.
and bomb the area. And these are the pictures that were posted, or that's the picture right there.
Well, it's kind of like the idea that everybody's
And
a tough
then-
guy until they get punched in the face,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like everybody thinks they're tough, and then all of a sudden they get a punch in the face, and you're like, "Whoa, there goes that toughness."
Mm-hmm.
It's these little internet troll warriors go over there, and they're like, they think it's some kind of.
That's why they're going over there, and then they're doing stupid shit like this and actually getting people killed.
Yeah.
Because you can do forensics. You can get a lot of information from very, very little.
Oh, sure.
Which is a lot of people think that that's like CSI nonsense.
No, fuck, I've done it even from pictures and stuff. Just take a picture and then you can see a little thing in the backdrop, and you're like, okay, that's
some of the
to
things
this,
that
and
people on the internet. I remember there was a big story a few years ago. Shia LaBeouf put like a flag or something up. It was like an anti-Trump thing, and he put up this flag, and he did it originally, and they found it because he was kind of public about it. So then he did it again in like a random location in the middle of nowhere, where ideally no one would find it. And the internet found it. I guess they were using because it was kind of like facing up in the sky, so all they had was the sky and the flag, and they were using like planes that they could see flying over and figuring out like which plane that was and where it was coming from, which direction it was going, and like where the stars were in the sky, figuring out kind of where the location is. And then I think eventually they kind of got the general area, and so they had a guy driving around honking his horn. And so when he got close, you could hear it because it was a live feed. You could hear it in the live feed. And that's how they ultimately found it.
Wow.
And it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable what people on the internet can do. But so imagine what governments can do.
Yeah. And you get coordinated efforts, people will figure a lot of shit out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have this.
That's pretty impressive.
I think they found missing people too.
That's sad.
Yeah. This is what's going on. It's like it's this modern issue of a modern war.
You just don't know. You just don't know what to believe when it's reported to you, right? What's propaganda? What isn't propaganda? That's the rough thing about it, because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be on the side of what's right, but you just don't know if there's bad players trying to act like things are happening that maybe aren't happening the same way they're.
Well, that's
happening.
the entire woke movement.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like.
I don't think anybody can disagree that Russia shouldn't be trying to invade at all, right? So whatever's happening or the reasoning, I think you can, on the surface, I think everybody can agree to that at least. But, the reasoning and all that kind of thing, that's when you get into the nuance of it, right?
You have...
The one big reason, that makes a ton of sense is the push to have made Ukraine a NATO partner, and now you have nukes on Russia's border, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
So so if you're a country, a strong, a powerful country, you're not going to want that. The U.S. has never had to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Mexico got nukes.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
You're right. You know what I mean? Like, you think
nukes?
what's that?
They don't have nukes?
No. There's only 8 countries or something in something like that. 8 or 10 countries in the world that have nukes. It might be more now, but
yeah, I don't know.
Like now that you have things like North Korea jumping into the mix, and
probably is more. It's
probably more now,
there's some weird.
But it's definitely not. Mexico is definitely not one of them.
Who's Joe Rogan talking to recently about that? Oh, Mike Baker, the CEO.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, and they were talking about how and this was probably a decade ago now, where sort of on the black market, you can get some small nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
They're around, they're there.
Yeah, but those ones are those are the type that are, they're not, not that they're not very, very powerful and can do some damage, but they're
it's not like a
they're not even to the tune of like the Hiroshima or Nagasaki bomb, and those two weren't. Those two now, like what the stuff that they have now, would put those to shame by factors of like, I think it's like 100 or something like that. And you imagine that. Imagine if you I forget what they do it by. They would do it by like tons of TNT back then, but I don't even think they use that anymore. As far as like how to what do you call it? How to display the magnetism of that bomb.
What do you mean?
So they used to say it was like, say the one that hit Hiroshima was like, say 1,000 tons of TNT. Like it had the explosion power of that. Like now I don't think they even use that because it's too much of a factor now.
Oh yeah, they have much smaller ones. I think they were talking about this on Tim Pool. As they were developing nuclear weapons, sort of in the Cold War, the Soviets were focused on size because they weren't very accurate, right? They weren't very good at getting to their target, so they wanted bigger bombs. Yeah. And the U.S. was building big bombs too, just to show that they could do it. But really what the U.S. wanted to do was like, fucking send a nuke down someone's chimney, kind of very precise, accurate. And so you don't need that city destroyer bomb if you can have those precision
if you can
strikes.
Pinpoint it.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where the U.S. went with things, and then the Russians kind of went a different direction. Although they are using hypersonic missiles now, and so like who knows what the Russians are capable of? I remember like 10 years ago or something, they were kind of bragging about some technology that they had militarily, some missiles.
But you think about like just the science behind the bombs they dropped in World War II. That they had to drop.
Well, they were gravity bombs. Well, they had to like hit the ground.
No, they didn't. That's the thing.
Well, they
didn't hit the ground. They had to explode at a certain altitude to get the maximum destruction power. But that's disgusting when you think about it, because like it's not like you're trying to. You're not going for effect there. You're going for death.
Damage.
Yeah, you're going for death though, because you know you're going to hit all civilians.
Yeah.
Like you're going for cities. You're not going for fucking military structures. Yeah. Like the argument back then was that the Japanese basically said if they knew if the U.S. said they were gonna drop it on their military bases and such, that they would put civilians there. Basically that was the argument. I call bullshit. I think they just did it because they wanted to show might and power, and they wanted to be first, and they wanted to say, hey, look at what we can do. Yeah. Because they knew everybody was like, it was an arms race at that point.
People were talking about it.
Japan would have been there. Japan would have caught up. They would have caught up.
Yeah,
like
we know that that's an interesting alternate.
In the U.S. or the Russians would have for sure. But
the Nazis had a nuclear program that Hitler.
Well, yeah, but that's who the guys that came up with the bomb were Nazis, right?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It was it was. They
were Germans.
Yeah, they were Germans.
They weren't Nazis.
Wow. Okay, but Nazis, but whatever. They were Germans.
No,
right?
That's a very different thing because they fled Germany because of the war. So they're quite literally the opposite of Nazis. Right. Anyways. So then they later they pulled in the Nazis to do like the Apollo missions and stuff like that. Sure. Right. Yeah. But they had while these guys in the United States were doing the Manhattan Project, the Nazis were doing their own nuclear project. But Hitler didn't necessarily see. I don't remember the exact story, but I think he didn't really see the promise in it, or didn't think that
they were working on
they could do it.
They were
or
working
something.
On gross fucking shit.
Yeah, so he was focusing on other things more so, and it's like, well, what would happen if the Nazis had?
Oh, it would have been. We'd all be speaking German.
Insane.
We'd all be speaking German.
Probably. It's absolutely nuts.
Let's be real. Like they would have mass produced them. They would have decimated all of Europe with it. And I mean, maybe we wouldn't speak German over here, but pretty much all of Europe would be.
Yeah,
actually, I don't think they would have. I think they would have truced. I think they would have truced with the states and stuff. Yeah,
it depends on what Hitler actually wanted.
That's a tough fucking. That's a tough war across oceans. You know what I mean? Like, why? I don't think you would. Maybe he would have. Maybe he would have went that way.
It all depended on what he actually wanted, and that's not 100% clear. Because some people say he just wanted to see Europe burn. So if that's the case, yeah, he probably would have never invaded the West.
Well, he got more and more unhinged, right? After all the drug use and stuff over the years, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like, where he started fairly. I don't know if he was he had some level of brilliancy for warfare, or if it was just like dumb shit luck of basically.
Or he was surrounded by the right people,
right?
And
but I mean, the drugs help for sure. The methamphetamines. You put a bunch of guys on meth, that'll do it pretty good.
You got an army on meth. There's not much you can't accomplish. I guess.
So yeah, I don't know what they would have done. Like had they not, had they just stayed at peace with Russia or the Soviet Union at the time, it might be a different ball game too. They might have taken the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The Soviets might join. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they did because the Soviets. Maybe they just beat the Soviets to the punch. Who knows? Like you never know in warfare, right? Who's doing what?
Which I mean, right now it's complete fog of war. Now you have Russia accepting Bitcoin for oil. They're making countries pay in rubles now.
Yeah. Well, that was that joke with Dunnigan's talking about. That's what makes so much sense with that. Didn't you hear that? When he was doing that as thing, he goes, only Bitcoin, not rubles.
Oh yeah. But he's doing both, right? Like, so it's like, what's happening? I don't know what's that going to lead to, right? The dollar is going to be severely weakened from that. Bitcoin.
Holy shit!
I didn't see Bitcoin being involved.
Think about this. Here's a little conspiracy theory. Throw it.
Okay.
Maybe this was some kind of. Not the whole thing, but maybe somebody thought, hey, let's try and destroy Bitcoin. In the midst of this, we can attach Bitcoin to Russia. We can tank Bitcoin because they're using Bitcoin for funding the war effort over there.
The issue is, though, that it would have the opposite effect because now Bitcoin is all of a sudden being used in like multi-hundred billion dollar transactions.
Yeah, but
right, and so now you have foreign governments.
Yeah, but if you killed the ability for people to put real money behind Bitcoin because you made it basically illegal, you killed all of the.
I don't know that you can do that.
Why not?
Yeah, if you made it,
of course you could.
In the West. Yeah, but you couldn't stop people from doing it. You can make it illegal, but like
how are they going to put real money into it? You need exchanges, and exchanges are all set up.
But because it's the internet, there's always a way. It'll just be more like.
You'd push it way black market.
It'd be more like the early days of Bitcoin, where it wasn't necessarily easy to do.
But
people might be motivated to do it because now everybody knows what it is.
I think it would have the opposite
especially
effect.
Too if the dollar is collapsing because of all of this, and then they're like, no, now you can't buy Bitcoin. There's a bigger incentive to get into Bitcoin. And the other thing is, there's a whole other economy forming now between like China and Russia and Saudi Arabia and all these other countries that are kind of like not really, like India isn't really calling this a conflict.
I think you're trying to make a logical argument out of nonsense. You know what I mean? Like people only follow nonsense. They don't follow logic. And you're making a logical argument but you know what I mean? But that doesn't, that makes people fearful. The idea of like, people like the regulations and the structure. Oh, I can put my money through Coinbase and they're regulated and I know that my money's safe because they're regulated by the government. And it's that perceived idea. It's
right, that perceived safety.
It's like people don't realize too that like your money in your bank accounts and stuff is only insured up to $100,000 per account. So you can have millions of dollars in an account, and if that institution goes tits up,
and
you're insured up to $100,000 per account. Good.
If you have millions of dollars in an account, you'd better be stupid rich, or because that's just not a good place to put
you
your
would
money.
You would not believe how many people, when I was a financial advisor, I would run into with just a couple $1 million in GICs.
Why?
Just sitting in GICs.
Well, okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
They're not savvy. There's a lot of people that aren't savvy.
Yeah, but at least with GICs, okay, you got $1 million. Or you'd have to have $3 million in a GIC at 2% to make $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
At least you're conceptualizing it that your money's staying at your $2 million or $3 million, and you're getting $60,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
At least you're conceptualizing it, even though you're
not realizing how much you're actually losing.
Yeah, and how much you're missing out on. You just average 10% a year if you just buy the stock market, essentially, right? But,
But that's what I'm saying. So people aren't making logical decisions. They're making fear-based decisions, right? So if you add the fear to it,
GIC is a safe investment, so you do it.
So if you add the fear of Bitcoin being delegitimized by war efforts, holy shit, man, you have a lot of people that would normally be on board with it pulling right the fuck out and say, no, I'm going to get my money out of this, and you tank it.
Yeah.
So it could be something they're trying to do. So then they end up introducing their own whatever. What's the one in China called the?
I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. The structured centralized centralized.
Central bank digital currency.
There you go.
They've been talking about that all over the place.
Yep.
Bitcoin did rally though from this news.
I'm not surprised. Bitcoin rallies and drops. It's weird,
Bitcoin's
man.
a weird one.
It's so weird. You can't. It's hard to predict. Like people ask me all the time.
Really?
I go, I can't predict this. They go, well, what do you think Bitcoin's going to do? I'm like, how the fuck do I know? I'll do this. I go like this. I go, oh, it's going.
Yeah.
Or I'm looking at a crystal ball, and it's who the fuck knows, man. But this could be an attempt. That could be a play as well, right?
It could very well be.
Seems like a legitimate thing that an illegitimate players would do, right? I don't know, but we'll see. What do you got next? What else are we talking about?
I got some fun stuff on here. I want to go through the weird stuff before I get to the fun stuff.
Right.
So let's talk about Joe Biden. I think I figured out how to do this now, by the way, while we were doing this.
Oh, look at that. Joe Biden.
Did you see that clip where Joe Biden talks about the New World Order? He said there's going to be a New World Order.
No.
It's nothing crazy.
Okay.
It's just a clip of him saying that there's going to be they need. Let's see if I can pull up the clip. I don't know if I have it on here. Oh wait, actually, I do.
I'm not surprised by anything that Jagaloon says anymore.
Let's see.
Probably people watching thinking that he's the Antichrist.
Joe Biden? I mean, how else has he stayed alive this long? I think if anyone's the Antichrist, though, it's Hillary Clinton. You know?
That is one scary bitch.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean I disconnected?
That bitch kill people.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
don't take us off YouTube.
Probably personally.
Don't kick us off YouTube. We're just kidding.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton, she would never do that.
Just jokes.
It's all just jokes.
You're spreading misinformation. Misinformation. Fact checkers have checked you out, and there's no fact saying that Hillary Clinton has ever killed anyone.
Yeah, well, that's the crazy thing
Tips.
too. That's the crazy thing too about this New World Order comment, that they're all saying all the way that the media is responding to this is like, oh, it's a conspiracy, it's a crazy conspiracy theory about the New World Order, and it's like, well, yeah, there have been conspiracy theories about the New World Order for a while now, but like.
Anytime you see that,
aren't they vindicated? Like because of this?
Anytime you see that though, when it's like, oh, nothing to see here, there's always something to see there.
Always,
but
every single time.
But they keep going on that trick, right? It's like, oh no, don't,
right?
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here.
Look over there.
Yeah, I want to make sure this is paused before it just plays all of a sudden.
Oh, we got to get better with our we have technical difficulties.
It's just the internet being really slow. I think it's because we're streaming.
We'd do better if Bud Light Lime was actually...
it is loading, though. Before it would never load. Now it's loading.
Yeah. If they were actually sponsoring us, what I mean to get out. Fuck, I'm tired. I can't think straight today. I'm on 2 hours of sleep, so if I sound a little dumber than usual,
listen,
that's why.
You never sound smart.
Well, I just said that, you fucking retard.
I'm probably not going to notice.
God, you don't even listen, do you? You're just a dumb person.
Why would I listen to you?
In your age, you're getting even dumber.
It's cognitive decline, just like Joe Biden.
For sure.
I think.
Okay. Mute your microphone.
I think.
You know, my mother had an expression, out of everything terrible, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. I think this presents us with some significant opportunities.
This is not working. You start over?
I think, you know, my mother had an expression, out of everything terrible, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. I think this presents us with some significant opportunities to make some real changes. You know, we are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. And we've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
So there you go.
New World Order.
Joe Biden brings up the New World Order.
He's saying the quiet thing out loud again.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean, it's the soft serve, right? We're just gonna keep telling you something until you eventually go, yeah, no, please.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I know, and I get
Because-
it. That's why I said soft. It's a soft
like,
sell, right?
It makes sense what he's saying. It isn't well, he was having a hard time saying it, but
Sure.
it isn't all that incoherent. What is just so strange is that obviously this rings all of the alarm bells about the New World Order that people have been scared about for decades now. Probably 50 years. I don't know when the New World Order first started being a conspiracy theory, but it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And now you have you had the I don't know who she was. She was like a top official in Ukraine. Said that they were fighting for a new world order. You had the Australian Prime Minister or I don't know if it was the Prime Minister or just like a member of government saying who dropped. I think it was the Prime Minister. Is it the Australian Prime Minister or what? Because there was a woman that said it.
New Zealand Prime Minister is a woman.
Oh, it might have been New Zealand then.
Yeah, she's
who said they're the same place.
not really. Get some shit in your teeth, by the way. Whatever, who cares? Just don't smile. Just don't smile.
I was eating some shit.
Nobody wants to see you smiling. Everyone wants to see you angry.
No one wants to see. Many world leaders and prominent people around the world have now, specifically by name, dropped this idea of a new world order. Plus, you have this Klaus Schwab, the Great Reset whole idea there, and it's like all the alarm bells being rung are justified. All the people, I mean, sure, some people might take it to an extreme, but they're justified in being a little bit worried, considering that this has been hypothesized for a while now, and now it's kind of coming to fruition. The media is like, oh no, these are just crazy fucking lunatics, QAnon people. You know, they're like trying to. Everybody who's talking about like, oh, so Joe Biden just brought up the New World Order. Everybody who's like talking about it is now being slandered as like a crazy conspiracy theorist. Yeah. It's like, don't you know that that's just gonna make everybody all the more suspicious?
Of course. Yeah.
Like, why would you act that way?
Like, I understand. You know, there's different terms people are talking about. The spirit, I get the spirit. If you want the idea that people are going to work a little more collaboratively, countries are going to collaborate with each other.
You have global change coming.
Yeah, like right? We're more of a global community now than we ever were, right? Which is cool, and people like that idea that we're able to sort of unite for common goods. But what gets scary is when you're talking about stuff like that, it's like, what are we supposed to give up? Because then you get stupid bullshit where it's like, you're going to own nothing and you'll be happier. Yeah. What do you mean you're going to own nothing and be happier? Yeah. Somebody has to own it. Somebody has to take care of it. Somebody has to fucking...
It's going to be Joe Biden and his buddies.
Right. So it's like, if somebody comes to me, someone who likes owning shit, like I get it. If you're the type of person you don't want to own anything, you're like the Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Fantastic, cool. You rent from me. I give you a place to live, and you're happy as a fucking pig in shit if I'm just taking care of everything. You just come and do nothing, essentially. I get it. That's cool. And the good thing about our free economy is there are people to do that. You have all those opportunities. But if we have a one world order or a fucking, or whatever you want to call it, you're going to have somebody or some group with their own ideology controlling everything. How everyone thinks. Groupthink. We all got to think the same way.
Yeah.
How the fuck? How does that go?
Mm-hmm.
Just get 10 people in a room and see if you can get them all to agree to what to eat.
Goes like what happened in the Soviet Union. Yet, how many people died in the Soviet Union?
I don't fucking even know.
Tens of millions of
Oh,
people
easily, yeah.
in the Gulag. Maybe 100 million total in China alone under Mao's Cultural Revolution. Why did a lot of those people die? Because buried in the communist ideology, and this is why I would say that the communists are worse than the Nazis, because the Nazis are pretty straightforward about what they want to do, right? Very evil and cruel and vicious, but at least they're coming out and they're like, yeah, here's what we're gonna do. Here's how here's where we want to be, and here's how we're gonna get there. The communists, they are not honest about it. It's buried deep in there that you have to murder people who don't adhere to your ideology. You have to get rid of them. They have to go. And how does that? What happens? You put them in prison camps, and then what do you do when you have food shortages because what did they do in the Soviet Union? They ordered people to plant seeds closer together to get higher yields, but that actually just killed all the plants, and so they had a famine. And so what do you do when you have a famine? Well, you have all these prisoners who are guilty of wrongthink. You just don't feed them. And there you go, more food for everybody else. They're the scum of society anyway, right? And so I am afraid that we're going in that kind of direction again. Slightly different ideology. I mean, Marxism is pretty prominent again, but it is a little bit different.
Again, it could be this kind of thing could be cyclical, right? Whereas
Definitely
we just don't know. Like we pre historical text, we could have hit times like this where humanity was basically. Well, I'm not saying that we were at the same level, but at some level of advancement. That they
even have to go prehistorical. Just look at like the Roman Empire and several other civilizations.
Well, when I say prehistorical, right, I mean like prehistorical data where we have good data on it. Like we have record. We have record of.
Empire.
Well, we do. We have record, but it's not as good as the record is nowadays, right? Because things get lost.
But it's probably good as the record now will be in 2,000-3,000 years.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think a lot of stuff gets
lost. So many other things so many other forms of record now that you didn't have then. They didn't have digital record. They didn't have these kinds of things.
What's going to happen is, one, there's too much stuff. And so cultural relevance or cultural nuance is going to fade with history. And so, 3,000 years from now, 4,000 years from now, you might have all of this stuff, but it's going to be a lot harder to parse through it and really understand that article from in the news was satirical. I think I get that. It's going to be muddy to the point where there's more.
Yeah.
But I feel like the level of understanding is going to be rough.
Never thought about that. That's actually a really, really good point. I never thought about that because it lost in translation, right?
Yeah.
Shit gets lost in translation. You read it and you go, oh.
Yeah, so
you see that now with everything.
We have pretty good records.
Same with fucking text messages now. Somebody sends you a text and you don't know what the context of the text is.
So what's going to happen in 1,000 years? You're still going to have like Reddit archives and stuff.
True.
But you're not going to really understand the cultural significance of certain memes, certain comments, people saying certain things. You might not understand it.
Yeah, true. Think about something stupid like that Voyager 1 when they sent Voyager 1 out, and it's got that gold record of just Earth sounds and some songs and all this bullshit on there that's supposed to be like some kind of like little introduction to humans. Yeah. For one, who knows if it gets found 300 fucking years from now or something? That's 300 years later. None of that's relevant anymore whatsoever. I
think a lot of it was designed to be because it'd be like general sounds of nature and stuff like that.
But still, it's like it's a weird sort of thing, and out of context, does it really mean much of anything?
It's also weird that they put those on the Voyager where it's like, oh, we're going to send this out of our solar system, but it's like it's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah,
it's just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's like it's almost. Yeah, I feel like it's somewhat analogous to.
It's a ship in a bottle.
No,
it's even worse.
Oh,
yeah, of course.
It's like I'm standing on the second story of a house with a paper airplane. I'm going to throw it off with a message for a country just the next country over, right? I'm going to throw this paper airplane.
Yeah,
it's never going to get there.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Who's going to find it?
Well, not necessarily. No, because that would never get there. But
Same with this.
But this, it theoretically has the possibility to get somewhere. It's traveling.
But you have to think about how small it is.
Yeah, but how slow.
Well, it's not even like how small and how vast space is.
No,
like,
I get it, but I'm saying, but it
found.
doesn't have an impossible. That's not an impossibility. You throw that paper airplane, it's impossible for it to get there. It's going to hit the ground and then it's going to dissolve.
Gust of wind that
Yeah, but it's going to dissolve. It's going to dissolve. It's going to hit water. It's going to
pull it really high in the sky.
There's no way.
Whatever.
You could do that test
it's
a million times. It would never happen. Never happened.
No, but maybe a trillion times.
I don't think so.
I think that's a similar odds here.
Nah.
Where it's not.
I think your analogy is a little weak.
It's not.
It's weak like Ukraine. Ukraine is weak, and your
they're
analogy is
own,
weak.
Apparently.
What's that?
They're holding their own. Apparently.
I know. I'm kidding. That's from Seinfeld. If anyone's listening, don't ban us. That's from Seinfeld. Just a joke. It's just a joke.
Just a joke. Just a prank, bro.
just a prank, bro. It was from Risk. When do you remember the episode? When they're playing Risk on the subway.
Vaguely, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
since I watched Seinfeld.
It was Newman and Kramer playing Risk, and Kramer's about to take Ukraine over, and he's about to win.
Oh,
and things like I've got forces in Ukraine, and he's like, "Ha, Ukraine is weak." And then there's a Ukrainian guy on the subway.
Train, right?
Yeah, and he goes, "Ukraine is not weak. I smash your little game."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Seinfeld is
Seinfeld's
classic.
The best.
Yeah.
All right. What else, man? What else? Come on.
Okay.
Let's go.
Well, we'll stick.
You got the agenda today. It's not like I ever have the agenda.
Yeah.
I just go along with the agenda. I'm the dumb one here. He's the smart guy.
Well, did you hear?
I'm just the dumb, funny guy. Not even.
You're not even funny.
I'm not even funny. I'm just trying.
Did you hear that Joe Biden talking about food shortages?
I'll be honest with you. We talk about topical shit on this podcast, but I literally have had my head in the sand for probably a month. I don't listen to much of anything just because I'm like, fuck it, man. I haven't even been catching like Joe Rogan podcasts lately. That's where I get a lot of my news. No. I
get my news from Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I usually keep up with some of my trusted sources, like Ben Shapiro and stuff. I usually try and watch stuff, and then I try and watch stuff from the other side of the aisle a little bit. I'll actually watch a little TYT and stuff, right?
Oh man, how can you stomach TYT?
It's hard. It's hard, but
TYT is like overtly lying at this point.
I think so
stuff.
too. I think
like,
so too.
They know.
But I like to hear the other side because I get perspective. Because if I hear the other side and the lies even, or what I perceive to be lies, then it reinforces certain other things as truth to me. So I don't like to just, it's hard to know what to trust, even your trusted sources.
Right.
I trust Ben Shapiro completely, quite honestly. I don't see.
What do you mean by trust though? Like, do you think he's telling the truth?
I think he's reporting everything as it is, and he's trying to stay as unbiased as he can, considering he's a conservative.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said I think he's trying to report things as best he can for the truth that they are, but he's trying to stay as unbiased as he can, considering he's an open conservative.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah. So
I do think he's wrong sometimes.
Oh, of course he is, but it's mostly on his opinions.
Are a little off.
Yeah, it's mostly
base.
on his opinions. Yeah.
But I think when it comes to reporting the news as accurately as he thinks, I think when Ben Shapiro was talking, I think he's telling the truth. Yeah. I think he's saying
there's no deceit there. It's just bias.
Yeah. And I don't think that's the same about the Young Turks.
Yeah, and he'll admit
some other leftist news sources.
He'll admit that he's biased. Like that's what I like about it. It's if you can admit you're biased.
It's the same thing with like Tim Pool and his show. It's like they're very open about the fact that they're biased.
Yeah,
but they are attempting to tell the truth, which I think is the main difference.
It's impossible to not be biased
because you're gonna have your opinion.
Of course, you're.
Right?
So, but when you're reporting news, if you're a news outlet, I think what you really should be relying on is video footage primarily, because it doesn't tell any tale. It just tells its own tale. You look at it and you discern what you discern from it, and then literally reporting statistical numbers.
Right.
Like, so for example, I think I told you this when I was watching fucking one of the Canadian propaganda outlets. I know. they're talking about COVID all the time. They're saying how COVID cases are down, but then whenever they say that, they go, but I forget what who they say says it, but whatever. They always say the same talking point. They go, but they're saying that that cases are being underreported due to lower testing.
Yeah.
They always say that. But they never said that before.
They never said cases are rising because of overtesting.
They never said the opposite of it. They always said the one way.
But they talked about that on, like, for example, Tim Pool.
Right.
Like I would say Tim Pool is my main source of news, simply just because they cover a wide variety of topics, and it's an interesting show. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, here's what's going on. You see what Tim Pool's going on. And then every now and then you get some other stuff. Like, do you see Steven Crowder's infiltrating a fat studies thing?
No.
Okay, watch that video whenever you get a chance. It's like a 20-minute thing.
I like Crowder, but he's a little too conservative on the one side for me. Sometimes I'm just like, ugh. I know that he's more of a comedian.
He is a comedian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's doing more for comedy purpose, but he.
In what way is he more of a conservative? I'm interested in this argument.
I just think he takes more of the right side approach to everything. Like, okay, so for example, like if you look at someone like a Joe Rogan, right, a very, very centristic kind of guy, which I think like he's we always say this, he used to be left of center, but now because of fucking shifting, he seems like he's right of center. But I still think he's a centrist. Like he doesn't really shift with the fucking window. His opinions are his opinions.
They've kind of more or less stayed the same.
That's what I'm saying.
He shifts a little bit, it says a lot about his character. But
right. But everybody shifts a little, right?
Yeah.
But I just feel like he's so malleable to whatever is sort of common sense, making sense, whatever's a valid argument, and he can be swayed. If you make a valid argument on any side, he can be swayed. But someone like Crowder, especially when I watched him on Joe Rogan the one time, and he's very rigid in his thought process, and he's always trying to just sell you on what his perspective is. That's the feeling I get from him anyway. But I find it funny.
Like what
perspective in particular? You mean?
Yeah. Like, do you have an example of him?
No, I don't have a direct example now I can think of. It's just more like a feeling I get when I watch him. That's
so I might argue that it's more of a psychological thing, where the way Crowder's personality and the way that he presents his ideas may be off-putting to you.
Maybe.
So you feel like he's a little bit.
I'm not gonna die on that hill either. But
I don't know.
I just feel like he is more of a rigid kind of person that way. Although when you watch him do his change my mind skits, I like those.
Yeah, well, what you'll notice when you realize that his opinions are extremely nuanced, which might be why he comes off as so stern, because he's like, my opinion is based off of all of this stuff, and your opinion is based on this article headline over here, and he's used to that, and so he might come off a little strong, because that's a very frustrating thing. You do get a lot of people who are like that, right? Yeah. But
I just find and I also find on the conservative approach, I find it a little hypocritical in one sense. When you look at the fact that they're absolutely pro-life and not pro-choice at all, but they're basically pro-choice in everything else. Like, it's like freedom of all other things, but you don't have freedom of body autonomy. That one gets me a little.
Yeah, but that's a mischaracterization of the argument, because it's not about body autonomy. They could literally conceive of it as a human being.
Yeah, but I'm saying, that's body autonomy. I don't give a shit. It's inside of a fucking body. To me, it's not a human until it's outside taking its own breath. At all. Yeah, well, I'm
not at all
pure pro-choice.
I am pro-choice in the fact that I'm libertarian, and I think you should be able to do a lot of things, but I think that with the exception of very, very rare circumstances, you are a bad person if you get an abortion.
Hey, I'm not saying you're a good person. I'm not saying that it's a good thing to do.
And I am much more...
I also... Why does she always fucking call it during the thing? Anyways, I'm very anti-killing babies, right? I really don't like the idea of killing babies. Yeah. But I'm pro you making bad fucking decisions. If you want to take drugs and they're bad for you, and you want to do things that are bad for you, that's on you. You do it. You do you. You know what I mean? So how can I tell you can't do something that I think is bad?
Well, it's when it infringes on somebody else, and that's the conservative argument that you are taking a life. Like, that's the argument. Like, you can't really get around that. Like, you can disagree with it all you want, but ultimately, when you're arguing with somebody who's anti-abortion, it's because it's a human being.
Yeah, but it's not. It's inside of another human being. So that
who
human being
made a conscious decision to put it there.
But it's not. No, who
Yes,
said you?
absolutely.
No, hold on. So every time you have sex, you're making a conscious decision to have
sex,
a baby.
yes.
To have a baby.
Yes.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
you want to have
absolutely.
sex.
Yeah, okay. And so you make that bad decision, and now there's another human being in the mix.
Sometimes it's not even a
because of
bad
that.
decision. Sometimes you've done everything correct, and it's just bad fucking luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
You don't up to it.
yeah. Well, no. You know what? But then it's funny because then there'd be other things that you would that would be argued against. So, do you then think that we should have breathalyzers in our car before we get in our car in order to start the car up?
Probably not.
Why not?
I don't know.
If I get in that car and I start that car up with a couple drinks in me and I kill
They're
somebody,
not,
I made that decision to get in the
because they're
car.
not yeah, and you should suffer for it.
Well, there you go. But I'm saying, but why not just take away that ability?
Well, because then that's an overstep. That's pre-crime.
What do you mean? So if I want to have an abortion I want to kill something. I'm a woman. I want to kill something out of my body. It's in my body, and I don't want it in my body anymore. I'm not allowed to do that because you decide it's morally wrong for you?
I never said you're not allowed to do that.
Well, yeah, that's
My
the
argument
argument.
was-
That's the
their
argument. That's the argument, though. They're saying there shouldn't be abortion clinics or anything. They should be illegal. Like abortion should be illegal.
Yeah.
So why not make it illegal?
It's the same for them. It's the exact same as them saying that I shouldn't be allowed to, take a knife and slit your throat.
No, but I'm saying
It's the same thing because
Hold on.
now I'm infringing on your autonomy.
Hold on, but so I could easily infringe on your ability to make a bad decision if I throw a breathalyzer in a car. It doesn't start unless you blow clean air into the car. Why not do that? But there's no limiting principle on that kind of thing, though. If we decide we're just going to do that, we can control all kinds of things that we deem wrong. Just because you add morality to it. So now we're not allowed to hunt animals anymore because they're living creatures. Why is a human's
Hunting is more ethical.
But why is a
leaving them in
human's
the wild,
life more responsible or more valuable than any animal or a bug? Anything that's alive. Why is it more
humans.
valuable? What's that?
Because it's us.
Who gives a fuck? Why does
We
our
do,
hubris think that
actually.
we're so?
We do.
Why do we think we're
It's
so
self-preservation.
fucking important? Yeah, but you know what though? It doesn't.
That isn't an argument.
What's that?
That's not a valid argument. Because
It is
that
a valid argument. Yes, it
No,
is a
isn't.
valid argument based on life itself. So what do you mean human preservation? So we still are going to have people that will procreate. Just because other people don't want to do it and will terminate babies' lives doesn't mean that other people are going to follow suit. It's not like everybody's going to go, oh well, abortion's legal. I guess we're all going to do it now. It's just some people are going to select or are going to choose not to do that. Just like some people choose not to eat animals. Some people choose to eat animals. It's not. A lot of people could argue that it's not morally right to eat animals because they're alive. Some people think fucking dogs have souls. They might, if you believe in a soul. If you believe in
It depends, on what reality is.
yeah. If you fucking if you've ever owned a dog, man, you know they might. Like if any fucking creature on this planet other than a human has a soul, it might be a dog. They're brilliant. They're brilliant little creatures, right?
Weirdly smart.
Yeah, exactly. I was just watching a video of a Doberman. But that's my whole that's the contradiction of it for me.
But you're arguing to somebody who doesn't adhere to that contradiction because I don't think it should be illegal to get an abortion.
Okay, but I'm saying what they
I
do.
know.
But they do.
I'm just telling you what their
Conservatives do.
opinion is.
I know.
It's murder to them.
I know.
Why is murder illegal? Well, because you're infringing on your autonomy. That's how they see the argument.
Right.
For me personally, it's just I think it's I think it's borderline evil with the exception of very
I'm not gonna
unique
disagree with that.
scenarios.
I'm not going to
right?
disagree
Like
with that.
if you make those decisions and now you are getting an abortion and it's just entirely your
Yeah.
fault. It's not you didn't get raped or anything like that.
Yeah.
And you get an abortion, I think you are a bad person. I do not want you to. If it was a family member of mine, I probably would never talk to them again.
You better watch out what you say because you probably
Yeah.
know people that have done it. And you don't know them, like you don't know that they've done it, and you know them. So I know people that have had abortions. I don't think they're bad people.
Yeah.
They made bad decisions, sure. That's not. I don't agree with that decision. I've made bad decisions. I've drank and drive.
Well, I would say this.
Drank and drove back in the day, right? I got lucky every fucking time it happened. But I made the bad decision of doing it.
I'll make it as real as possible. If it was my sister, I would never speak to her again.
That's a pretty strong fucking...
It is, because there's no need for that.
Yeah.
That, especially since I know that, like, there are some people you can make like a woe is me argument, or like, oh, you know, I have no money and no family and no everything. In the context of my life and my sister, I know that if she got pregnant by accident, the guy some asshole is not in the picture, she has the support.
That's a whole other fucking ball of wax, man. But
exactly.
Hold on, but no, I'm disagreeing with you. That's a whole your argument there. Think about I can't even fathom what it would be like to be a woman that has a child with some piece of shit fucking douchebag who has zero interest in the child, and won't at least take monetary care of the child in some way, and then she's got to raise that child by herself. That's number one.
No, but that's literally why I just said you can make some woe is me argument to where it's like, okay, maybe like you're in a tough spot. I think you made the wrong decision, but maybe I won't call you evil for doing it. And you're fucking, you have nobody, no support structure. You make minimum wage. You fucking, the guy that got you pregnant is some asshole who's not in the picture. But
that's your distinctions. Those are your distinctions.
Yeah. That's my morality.
Yeah, you're alienating yourself from people that, well, whatever. And in your case, you'd think that they were bad people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
on purpose.
Well, I don't think that way.
But I literally just said in that situation,
sure.
like,
I don't think they're bad people. I think it's a bad decision. I don't like the decision, and I'm not against it. If you're going to eat the baby, that's different.
Well, that is different. But that's why I bring up in the situation of my sister, because if that were to happen to her, I know that she has the support structure to give that child a good life and a loving family, even if this fucking guy is right. So that's why I think that it would be an evil decision for her to do that. Someone else, it might be it's a lot more morally ambiguous. If you don't have any of that, you can maybe be like, okay, you're in a tough spot. Maybe it's the wrong decision. Maybe you made the wrong decision, but maybe you're in a tough enough spot to just like, okay, you're allowed to make a mistake. But
I definitely don't disagree with the idea that it's not a good decision. A bad decision, that's using the word bad decision is it leaves for interpretation. Bad, is it like morally bad? Is it bad?
Okay, well, you got circumstantial, right?
But I mean,
so you're
I don't
going around,
agree with it necessarily.
If you're going around and you're sleeping with people every weekend and you're not taking any precaution to protect it, and then you're just like, you're the entire time you're like, oh well, if I get pregnant, I'll just get an abortion. Like, yeah, I think you're a bad person.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. If you're using it as a form of contraceptive, you're pretty.
If you are using protection and I don't know, maybe you're with a guy that you're really into, and then something happens, now you're pregnant, he fucking jumps ship, and you have no support structure, and you have hardly any money. It's like, maybe it's a bit more morally ambiguous. I think maybe you should try, I think maybe we should have government structures in place to maybe help people like that.
We do.
Well, yeah.
But they're just not all that good.
Yeah, maybe we could strike them. I don't know how easy that is.
But. So I told you about the one guy that used to work for me, and the rental kids.
Yeah.
Like that just goes to show you how bad some of our social fucking programs are.
Yeah, that's why government's a bad solution.
To recircle back to the original point, it's just the whole moral argument of that, along with the hypocrisy of freedom of choice for a lot of other things that other people would find morally sort of, questionable, or even not even maybe morally questionable, more like questionable to allow people to have access to, like say for example, guns, right? That's a very conservative point of view that everybody should have guns, but the availability
should be allowed to have guns. It's not that everybody should have guns.
No, that's what I said. I said everybody should have
No. The argument is that everybody should be allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you said should.
Okay, but that's what I meant. Should have guns. Should be allowed.
I would say everybody should have guns.
Well,
that's a different argument.
Well, sure. I'm not against that. I mean, I'm not against that either. But I'm also not against the other choices. I'm fully for freedom of choice. Like, I'm basically a libertarian when it comes down to it. Like, I believe in all ability of choice, as long as you're not infringing.
I think
on
it
other
ultimately
people.
boils down to like, who the fuck are you to tell somebody else how to live their life? And that's why I think libertarian.
And that's why when you
speaks
circle
to me.
back to the whole idea of like a world order, who the fuck is governing this thing? Who's going to control?
Well, we've been going in
this?
this direction for a while. This globalization of the economy, everything being connected all over the world, manufacturing going to China and India and all of these places, and so there has been the conspiracy about globalization, and the globalists are coming to get you. You know, that's been around for a while, but it's like it's more of a natural progression that we're going down. Like, and I don't know that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, because it seems inevitable that we're gonna get to almost a one world government of sorts.
When you start to, well, we said this before. When you start to,
Especially if the aliens come into play,
oh fuck yeah,
they'll be like Earth, and it'll just be Earth.
Earth versus everybody.
You might have like the United
Factions.
States.
You'd have factions.
Well, the United States would be like Texas.
Yeah.
To Earth.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You'd have factions essentially, but you'd have it would be us versus everybody else. But what was I gonna say there?
You see, Star Trek made Stacey Abrams the president of Earth. Everyone's pissed off. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that happened.
Who Star Trek did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll see if
So Star Trek went woke.
everything's going woke,
Yeah.
man.
It's as you start to pull religion out of everything. When you start to take the idea of a god out of things.
Star Trek makes Stacey Abrams president of United Earth.
That's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure Stacey Abrams is the woman that wore 2 left shoes one time, and they were different shoes.
I don't know.
To an
I just
event.
know she's
She's
from
not very
Georgia,
bright.
right?
I don't know.
She was.
man.
I think she was the governor, not the governor. Was it?
Oh, she was also
governor of Georgia?
Was she the one? She was at that school recently.
Yeah.
And all the kids were wearing masks, and she was the only person.
She's basically
in the building not wearing
She's
a mask.
basically the fucking. She's a joke. She's basically the Colin Kaepernick of the political movement or something. I don't know. She's like she's a joke. These people are just trying to. It's very evident they're just trying to bolster themselves and their popularity. Someone like an AOC, right? They're using these things as platforms to be able to bolster themselves, to just enrich themselves in every which way, whether it's popularity or money or whatever the fuck they're going for. That's all it is.
What do you think about this? Biden says to expect real food shortages due to Ukraine war.
Fuck, man.
I don't think the war is causing this.
No,
I mean, it might be playing a factor, but we've been moving in this direction for what, 2 years now, 3 years.
It's smoke screens.
Yeah.
It's like, we've had
Where's
all
the
these
distraction?
like. So it's basically like this. All this shit's going wrong. You've got problems with the supply chain, all these kinds of things. They blame it on COVID for a while. Now that COVID's starting to go away, and they realize that it's probably not going to correct itself.
Now it's
now
Putin.
we got to blame it on fucking Putin and the
Putin's
war.
fault.
It's going to always be something. You can't blame
Yeah.
it on Trump anymore because it's too far removed. COVID's starting to be gone essentially now. So it's like the next thing to blame it on. It's an old game. They're just going to keep fucking playing. I just don't know why you don't ever catch on to it.
But it's a real problem.
Squirrel. What?
Now it's a real
I
problem.
know it's been becoming like, and not even slowly, quickly. This is fast for what we're seeing for like hyperinflation and shit. This is faster than
10%
we're used to seeing. Like we don't, and it's really starting to affect people, like real world effects now. It's no longer like, it's $100 extra a month in my gas.
My prediction, as of right now, my prediction is that I think we see a real serious downturn in the stock market when companies start reporting their Q1 2022 earnings.
Yeah. Yep.
Because this is a bad quarter for everybody. Gas prices going insane.
Hey, do you want to hear something amazing though?
What?
This has not gone up.
No?
Nope.
Same.
$63.95 for a 2.4 of these tall cans.
Just wait.
It was that 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just wait. It'll go up. It'll be like $100
I think it was that 2 years
instantly.
ago. Well, at least a year ago it was that.
Yeah.
So now that we just said it on our podcast, we're done now. Buy shares. Buy shares in Bud Light.
Buy shares in Bud Light, apparently. Well, maybe don't, because technically the price is going down.
Through food shortages, dollar, right? And look, they're showing what is that
wheat?
Wheat. Yeah,
apparently,
so
Ukraine exports wheat,
and you need wheat for beer.
Yes, you do.
So fuck.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do it to us, please.
No, well,
what do we just?
There's always a way.
We're fucking eating pizza and beer.
Yeah, there's always a way.
And they show wheat. You're scaring me, pal.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't have pizza and beer. Basically, you're saying to me?
Maybe in a couple of years.
Fucking,
who knows where we're heading?
Let's just all kill ourselves.
That's
mass suicide.
At this point.
Mass
suicide. Yeah, might as well.
That'll show them.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
That'll show you, world.
Ooh, cruel world.
Just everybody's fucking dead now.
What's that?
Just everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's like, fuck you, God.
Yeah, I don't see it getting any better while this fucking Skeletor is in power. The U.S. and the tard that we have in Canada is still there. It's just the worst government.
Yeah, they're doing all of the wrong things.
Yeah, it's the worst government
it's like
we've ever seen.
Of everything that you should be doing.
I don't know. And it's like, it was funny. It was so funny, though, when Trump got in. Everybody was like, oh, it's going to be 4 years of him messing shit up, and then it's going to be so hard to write it out and all this kind of shit. And I would make the argument with people, I'm like, it's only 4 years. Like, I don't know what he could do necessarily in 4 years. Yeah. And he didn't really do anything, like anything bad, right? Like,
no, he did a lot of good.
He did a lot of good. I mean,
anyway.
There was a couple little things that maybe you could argue that he didn't do so well or whatever, but realistically, at the very least, he did okay. At the very least.
Economy.
But I'm saying, like, at the very least, you could, like, whatever you want to argue on any moniker, like, you can't argue the fact that it's not worse now under Biden, right?
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
That anybody who would argue that is just stupid. You can't have a legitimate conversation with somebody like that, because how could they say that?
They live in a fantasy land.
Yeah, they're living in fantasy land. Yeah, they're just whatever.
They don't know what's going on.
Yeah, maybe they're just listening to whatever CNN is telling them. Which, are they still a newscast or a news outlet?
Who the hell knows? Who's listening?
Yeah, I've never even heard about them anymore. Yeah, they're just dying now.
Like, all I really wanted to say about this food shortage is, like, man, they're blaming it on the Ukraine war, but, like, we've been heading in this direction for a while. There's been supply chain issues all along, production issues, and
like I said, it's just, you put enough of this bullshit out there, and you say it enough times, people are going to believe it later, right? They'll go, oh yeah, it's just food shortage, and you're like, what? Do you not remember, like, 3 months ago, before they even said any of this, that it was there? This isn't just a new thing that happened.
Remember when there were like 100 ships outside the LA port waiting to come in that they weren't letting come in because of COVID? It's like, Speaking of COVID, though, they finally got rid of our mask mandates here.
So I was going into everywhere today with no mask on.
Yeah, and
people were walking in. I go to the beer store to get the thing. I walk in, no mask. The employees got no masks. A couple guys walk in, masks, right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching them. I'm thinking, do they just maybe not know? And anyway, so I'm waiting in line. No, they didn't actually. It was funny because the one dude, he's there and he looks at me. He goes, oh, and he pulls his mask down like this, and he goes, and I go, you forgot, didn't you? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I didn't even realize that it wasn't. He goes, I knew it was coming, but I didn't realize it was here. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I just thought you just weren't wearing a mask. And I'm like, and then the guy behind him pulls his down. See what I mean? Like, it's going to take a little bit of time.
I wanted to talk about some weird behavior that I've noticed at work. So they lift the mask mandate, right? You don't got to wear it anymore.
Oh, you guys don't have it? I do at work. I still have
Still?
It. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
they'll be very slow.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that sucks. But so we don't have to anymore. But a lot of people are still wearing them. Now, some people, it's understandable to some extent, where it's like, okay, whatever. You care. You want to wear your mask? Okay, fine. You keep wearing it. Like, do you, right? Like, I don't care what you do. I just care when you tell me what to do, right?
Right.
But some people are like, now it's more of a casual one. There's at least two people that are like constantly walking around with their mask around their chin.
Yeah.
So like they have it on, but it's not on. But like for some reason they keep putting it on. Yeah. I cannot wrap my head around what they're doing, what they think they're doing. And then there are other people who, like, there's one guy I noticed in the morning. He'll show up and he'll go over to his go over to his station, and but he's not wearing a mask. And at a certain point in the morning, he'll end up with a mask on. It's like, okay, he's wearing his mask now. He wear it throughout the day. But then again, at the end of the day, when and there are other people that are like this too. When we're all lining up at the clock, the masks are coming off. So now you're in the closest proximity you've been to as many people as possible all day, and you're not wearing your mask anymore. Like, I have no idea what some of these people are thinking. I can't wrap my head around this behavior. It's so fascinating to me from like a psychological perspective. Because like I understand if you're gonna wear the mask, you're gonna wear the mask, right? Surely you care enough to wear it properly and to do it, in these situations. Yeah. But
it's almost like watching someone bite their nails at this point. It's like you know that they just can't help it. They're just doing it. Maybe. And you're like, and you can say, "What are you doing?"
But it's the fact that they're doing it more casually than they did.
But that's what I'm saying, because it's like it's so ingrained in their brain, their psyche. Like even me, I've found when I was getting out of the car, I was thinking, "Oh, do I have my mask?" Yeah, I don't fucking need my mask.
It's a little tick where it's like,
but I still had it in my pocket just in case I went in somewhere and they're like, "Hey, you need a mask in here."
Yeah.
Okay, like I'd be irritated.
It's whatever.
But it's your business and you want me to wear a mask. All right, if I want to patron you.
Depends on the business. I might just go somewhere else.
Right, exactly. I might just say, all right, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You and your mask mandates can go out of business, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
I just don't don't enforce it on me. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Yeah.
But
I just can't.
It's become reflexive.
Yeah. And
some people are going to have a hard time. There were a few women telling me that they didn't want the mask to go away. They were like, I think it's too soon. Yeah, and I'm like, I go, you realize at this point it's just theater, right? But then it was funny because I was having a conversation about that with him. I'm like, do you know that the masks have never really been proven to do anything? Like, there's no statistical proof that they really
There's no
do
correlation
anything.
between
Now, I shouldn't say that because we're probably going to get banned for me saying that. But, so I just say to him, I'm like, look, listen, if you want to wear it, great, wear it. If that makes you feel more comfortable, wear it. By all means. And I don't think anybody should make fun of you for it or really say anything if that's your choice to do it. But conversely, you should not be telling people that they have to do it.
Yeah.
Because of the way you feel, because it makes you feel good, right? So I don't know. It's just it's gonna take a little time to get it to where people are just comfortable now not wearing it. Even the people that didn't want to wear it are just comfortable not wearing it now because they're going to be weird about it still.
It's weird to me, the people that wear it wrong. Because I was doing that, right, just to fucking breathe at work. Yeah. I didn't do it in stores or anything like that. But when I'm at work, I'm doing a kind of physical job. Like I'm going to breathe. Like, fuck you, right? Like, if you're not going to force me to pull it up, I'm not pulling it up. But then there are the people that are still wearing it that way. But it's like, so clearly you don't really want to be wearing it because you're completely negating any possible impact that it can have. But yet you're still doing it. Why?
Right.
What's the thought?
If you ask them why, they won't give you a good reason.
No.
It'll be something like that. Like, I'm just wearing it for the safety of others or something. And if you dispel that,
but meanwhile, it's like up to here.
Right. Like you'll never get a legit argument behind it, right? It's like with anything when you press people on a lot of different things, they can't give you an actual good logical reason why they're doing it. Children are like that too, right?
Yeah.
Like girlfriend's kid. He was reacting, like he was overreacting to something. Like she put him up in his room and he's crying and carrying on, like screaming and banging the door and shit. And she goes, "Do you want to go up there and whatever, if you want to go up there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." I go up there literally. I just open the door quick, right? He's shocked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just looked at him. I go, "What are you doing?" Literally just that tone. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's looking at me like, he's like, "Oh."
You gotta talk to him like a person.
And I go. I can't hear, like, you're carrying on, like, that's ridiculous, man. What are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish here? And he's just sitting there looking at me, like, rubbing his face and whatever. And I go, "Do you think this is working?" And he's just looking at me like his little brain's trying to process what I'm saying to him.
Trying to figure out.
He doesn't know what to say.
Need an explanation here.
He doesn't know at all what to say. But and that's the funny thing about a child. A child's mind is so what's the word I'm looking for? Simplistically complicated.
I think that's why when dealing with
a child's mind is so simplistically complicated that it understands innately what right and wrong is, and it understands cause and effect, but it doesn't know the nuance yet of how to make up fucking excuses and these kinds of things. It learns that shit from us, and through bullshit baby talk and all these kinds of things. But if you talk to a child as an adult,
Yeah.
they learn so much better. They pick up things so much better, and they start to learn real cause and effect to real things and what really actually works.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, I think that's why, like, as someone without children, I think it's important.
Yet.
Yet one day. I think that it is important to talk to them like they're people. Like, you don't talk down to them. You don't draw this difference where it's like, okay, I'm an adult and you're a child, so I'm going to talk to you differently, because I think when you draw those lines, you kind of open that door to where it's like, okay, they feel like, okay, I'm different to you, so I can act this way because this is the way a child acts, right? And you're treating me that way. But if you treat them like they're on the same level as you, and you're talking to them like people, they're gonna have a much harder time, because ultimately they're mimicking the adults around them, and that's how they want to live. And so if you're talking to them like an adult, they don't, you know, they're, like you just said, that experience you have, it's their mind is like, it explodes. Like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
That's why we have mentors.
You know?
That's why we have role models. That's why we have all these kinds of things. You want to be a role model to a child. You want them to see the way they should act. I would say this very simply to people. I'm like, you don't want to create a bunch of shitheads. If you have children, don't create shitheads. Because society's not going to like your fucking shitheads.
That's what Jordan Peterson says.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, don't let your children do things that make you dislike them.
Right.
Something
if
like
you
that.
dislike your kids, trust me.
Other people
really fucking dislike your kids.
That's what Jordan Peterson is like. That's a horrible thing to do to a child.
Yep.
Right? You let them behave that way. You're kind of almost on purpose sending them out into the world as people that aren't going to be liked. They're not going to be well received. Then they're going to be resentful. They're going to wonder why everybody doesn't like them. And it's like, well, ultimately it's their parents' fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I think most children, I mean, with the exception of the ones that are just mentally deficient.
Well, that's a whole other.
Most normal children. Sorry, I shouldn't say the word normal. I'm so non-politically correct.
No, but you have normal. You have no like.
Yeah, but I mean, most children
because
that
there
don't
are
have
non-normal
defect.
children doesn't mean normal children.
I know,
don't
but I'm
exist,
saying okay. So most children that don't have mental defect in some way can all sort of develop correctly in that regard in society and such. Sure, there's going to be nuances. This person handles things differently. This person handles things differently. You have this one's a leader, this one's a follower. These kinds of things, but they can all be good people in society and learn how to be around other people and be likable by a large number of people.
A decent percentage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's never going to be the case that everybody likes you.
Of course, if it's a complete fallacy if you ever think you can hit that. Like these people that walk around, I just want everybody to like me. Well, guess what? Get used to disappointment, asshole. Because it doesn't matter how.
Especially when you have to sometimes put your foot down. Like, what happens when someone doesn't like you because of a fundamental moral disagreement that is like axiomatic to your worldview, right? Like, do you cave and then you're less of a person?
Mm-hmm.
Less of a person.
Text Joanne real quick to see what the hell she wanted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say podcast.
What you want. What you want.
What you want.
No, I don't think your sister's a bitch.
She can be a bitch. Sure, she can be a bitch.
No, she's nice.
We can all be dickbags. She was a bitch this morning when she let the dogs in.
No, the dogs.
Who let the dogs?
The dogs were being assholes.
Yeah.
She was just facilitating them.
Yeah. No, but to sort of bring back to what we were saying about society and like this mass. What's it called again?
Mass formation psychosis.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. And we're all.
I think that's what we're seeing. A mask mandate listed. Everyone's still wearing a mask. Like literally, it is the vast majority of people in my workplace. Like, okay, if I try to conceptualize it, there's probably maybe 25 people in my general area of the factory where it's like these are the people that I usually see, and then there are other people that are in a different area that I might randomly see from time to time. There's maybe 5 of us that just aren't wearing our masks now, and a lot of people still wearing the mask were people complaining about the masks while they were mandates, but yet they're still wearing it. It's like this weird. It's so. I just cannot wrap my head around it. I think it's a fascinating case study for human psychology.
But if you know how human psychology works and you know how to manipulate it,
yeah, that's power.
it's hard
But
to
it's immoral.
it's hard to expect people
Maybe.
not to do it.
I guess it depends on where.
You know what I mean? It's hard to expect people not to do it, especially if you
Yeah.
think that you are doing it for the greater good.
Yeah.
Like if you
If you've been
really
convinced-
believe,
Yeah, if you bought into the propaganda
Yeah.
for all of this, that like this is the right thing to do.
right? So like to bring back like the moral argument of abortion,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a really you have a very strong platform to say killing babies is immoral, and I don't know of anybody who's gonna disagree with the idea that it's not a good thing to do at the very least. You know what I mean? Like
I think there are some people that do put that idea forward, but those people genuinely seem to be like on to some degree psychotic, like they're actual psychopaths. They just don't seem to have that moral ground where like they're making that argument in part to spite who they believe are like the far right conservatives who are saying that it's immoral, and so there's an element of like, well, I'm just going to say the opposite of what you're saying. But ultimately, the thing that they're saying is like, hey, you just get an abortion. You just fucking do whatever you want. Just get an abortion. It's going to be fine. It's like, not to mention that that's such a horrible message to give to women because, well, one, there's a psychological toll to it, right? If you get an abortion as a woman, a lot of women report this who do get an abortion, like they deeply regret it.
and a physical toll a lot of times too.
And I was going to go there next. Like there's a physical toll, like how many abortions can you get before you totally screw yourself up, right? And so it's like, it's just a horrible message to give, and there are people giving it, but it is the minority of people.
If you ever want to have a child, if you
Yeah.
ever legitimately want to have a child later, to have an abortion at any point prior to that child is going to be a psychological fuck.
And also, to get back to
You know
that,
what I mean?
To get,
Can I say that? Because
Yeah.
how could you never think of that other baby?
Yeah.
How could you never think, what
Yeah.
if I let that baby come?
what could have been,
What could have been, right?
right? And it's like, but it's even more, just so much more of an immoral thing. It's like we have things like Plan B that you can take, right? Like if something goes wrong, like first off, if you're not using protection, then you know there's a high risk. So
Yeah.
if you're really hell bent on not having a child, maybe go and take the Plan B kind of thing, right?
If you're not having protected, they're like $50 a pill though.
Yeah,
That's a pretty expensive after
So you
contraception.
maybe use maybe use fucking condoms or birth control or IUDs. Like there are a lot of options, right? And then it's like, okay, something can go wrong in that. Well, you get a condom that's real good. Well, then you can go and you can get that Plan B pill. And it's like there's so many steps along the line that you can do after just not having sex, because that is a choice that you can make. Like I don't agree at all. That's like, oh, because it's fun and it's enjoyable that you should. It's like, okay, well, then own up to the consequences. It's almost like saying that, because it's fun to go skateboarding, you shouldn't have to own up to the consequences that you broke your ankle. It's like, well, you took the risk and you got to own up to the risk, and now you got a broken ankle. Especially if like, oh, you broke your ankle because you didn't wear your knee pads, or you didn't wear a helmet. Now you have a concussion, kind of stuff like that. But you're distracted.
Her text was, "Oh, sorry, I got Little Caesars. You're too late." It's a twin.
No, you're too late.
It's a twin thing.
Speaking of Little Caesars,
That's the one I've just already been eating.
put that one. I'll eat the other one.
Yeah. Now you're eating part of mine.
Yeah, well,
That's the fifth fucking piece. You
you're too
pig.
slow.
You're a fucking pig, is what you are. Now you're just gonna muck while you're podcasting.
Yep.
That's a muck podcast again, and he just touched mine. Did you wash your hands? Probably not.
No, I haven't washed my hands in a month.
Fucking gross. Yeah. But again, having said all that, I still agree with abortion. I still agree with I don't agree with it. I agree with the ability for it to be there as a choice.
That's why I'm a libertarian, or a reason. Well, I don't know that you can call me a libertarian, but one of the reasons I have a lot of libertarian leanings is that, like, I think you should have a right to be a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that way I and other people can know, okay, well, that guy's a piece of shit. There it is. It's easy. I'm not going to engage with you. I'm not going to do business with you. I'm not going to be friends with you. I'm not going to move next to you, right? You're a piece of shit because you're allowed to be, and you were that. It's easy, right? It's easier for me to build my life in the best way possible if I know who all the fucking pieces of shit are.
It's true.
You know?
You gotta really kind of like, when you dial it back, think about like society and people that run society. It's an impossible job, right? It really is an impossible job. You're trying to please the masses. You're never going to please the overwhelming masses. You're going to please a majority a lot of the time. You're going to displease a majority maybe an equal amount of time. Like it's you know what I mean? Like it's a crapshoot, hit and miss. So it really doesn't matter what you do. Like if you have these abilities, if you have this ability to control the masses through social engineering, like masks and things like that, why wouldn't you do it? You know what I mean? What would stop you from doing it if you can do that? And you piss off a minority.
What do you mean by social engineering? By just mandate, by government mandate?
Well, or
by like, hey, you should do this. So and then people do it.
That's the better way to do it, in my opinion, obviously, right? But if you do that, which they did at first, and then when you don't get the kind of reaction you want, you do the thing that you do, like you do the mandates and shit. I'm not saying I agree with any of that. Like I hate all of it, but I'm saying if they have this kind of power, it's asking a lot to get them to not use it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like so you're basically saying
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right. So you're saying basically at first, okay, well we're gonna try and let people make the right decision, but you didn't make the right decision that we wanted you to make.
You didn't make what we thought were the right decision.
Right. So now we got to implement this thing to make you make the right decision.
The way that I conceptualize the mass is it's like if I don't know, if I walk into your establishment, your house, or am in your presence, and you ask me to wear a mask because you're concerned about your safety, and I refuse to, I'm the asshole. Mm-hmm. But if you come with the the authority of the government, basically with a gun pointed at me, and say, no, you have to wear a mask, you're the asshole. Mm-hmm. This is kind of how I consider it. So if you support the mandates, you're the asshole. If not, but I already said it. I don't need to try to redo it poorly. But
redo it poorly.
Yeah.
I told you I had that instance where I was at a variety store and the guy came in without a mask, and then I almost punched him out outside the variety store. Right? I told you about this. Yeah. And I told the guy that owned the store, this was last year, and I said very clearly, because I don't know why I needed him to know this. I was like, look, I'm anti-mask. I don't like it. I'm very against the mask. I want it to go away as fast as it's here. I said, but I'm pro your choice. And you asked him to wear a mask when he's coming in, and he's basically telling you to go fuck yourself. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to tell him to go fuck himself in a different way. I'm going to punch him in his mouth, in his ignorant mouth, because he's a douchebag and he doesn't, in my view, doesn't belong in a civilized society because he can't play nice in the sandbox. Get the fuck out of the sandbox, buddy. You can be an outlier. You can't play with everybody else if you don't want to listen to very reasonable freedoms and requests that this guy is putting on you to patron his business.
It is a different argument when he's telling him to wear a mask because the government mandates that he tells him to wear the mask.
Well, it's a little bit different.
And then there's you can conceptualize it as an act of defiance to an overstep of infringement.
Well, yeah, but still, at the same time, that's not a place to act in defiance of it. Because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whatever he chooses to adhere to as the owner of that store, whether he's I'm in your camera.
I think some people don't care.
Yeah, it's up to him.
I was at the convenience store, the one just down the corner here, and this was a while back. Mass mayonnaise were still in, and I was standing in line. The guy in front of me in line was he was like complaining to the guy behind the counter. He's like, "Oh, why did that guy here the other day, not have to wear a mask, or whatever?" And I think that what happened is someone came in without a mask, and the store guy just didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. But now this guy's coming in, he's giving him shit. So the guy's like, the guy behind the counter is like, "Oh, well, he had an exemption. he had an exemption, and the guy's still like, "Oh, he should have to wear a mask. Like we have to wear like all this and stuff." I'm like, why the fuck are you giving this guy a hard time about somebody else not wearing a mask?
Because misery loves company.
Yeah, it's so fucking crazy. There was a.
That's what it is, right? It's misery loves company.
There was a video going around a while
a lot of people like that.
Of I don't know, someone not wearing a mask, and there was someone filming them and getting in their face and like trying to rally everybody else around them, and it's like, oh, so why, is anybody else angry that we all have to wear a mask and they don't, and they're just making like this big fool of themselves on the internet, as people tend to do, right? But
just Karen it.
Yeah, the male Karen.
Yep.
But okay, to get back to what you were saying about running government and everything, and I had this idea because you talk about pleasing people, and it's like, I really do think that we should maybe conceptualize government more like a company. And I think Trump was doing that.
He was doing it
because there was a bit of a slip when he did that Nelk Boys interview where he said something about the company. He said like, oh, I did this thing and it was good for the company. He meant country. But he said company. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good sign that he was conceptualizing it more like a company. Mm-hmm. And then when you think about running a company, it's not about making people happy. Mm-hmm. It's about profits. And so what's the profits of a country?
Jobs.
Well, I think it's
economy.
I think it's profits anyway.
Yeah, economy.
Right? Because if you have a high GDP growth, as we've seen in the United States, everybody gets richer, right? Sure, wealth disparity has increased in the United States, and there may be some things you can do to curb that, but I would argue that you really shouldn't be doing too much, because the way that it's going, or the trajectory that it was going, was very good. Everybody was getting better. Everyone was getting richer. Quality of life was going up. It just all of these things, technology, just all of it was leading to just a better situation overall. I think that if the country was being run more like a corporation, where it wasn't about making everybody happy, so to speak, ideologically and all these ideas, but it was about, the bottom line increasing, say, the, quality of life for the average person, which you do maybe through GDP growth. I don't know. I think if globally we were doing that, we would see some like insane progress.
This is the way I think about it. It's very simple. It's like the old adage on an airplane. You fix your own oxygen mask before you start fixing everybody else's. If you're a country's government, your first and primary responsibility is to your own citizens. First and foremost. Yep. If you've got one fucking person on the street starving of hunger, that's too many for you to then go to another country and start before you go to another country to start taking care of their fucking hunger. Mm-hmm. You take care of everything here first. You make this model work, then you go. So if our infrastructure's crumbling over here, we don't fucking give a bunch of money to another country to help with their shit. We take care of our shit first. And every country does that for themselves. Now, if you're going to do that where you take care of other countries, well, I mean, now it's like now you can't. Now you got to risk that your country's now going to run to shit. You're giving all your money everywhere else to try and take care of them, and it's like anything. Like if you try and franchise a business, to go back to the business model, I try and open Tyler and Alex's pizza shop, and it never makes any fucking money, and we go, hey, let's go franchise it. What? Why? So 100 other people can lose money too? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Let's prove the concept works over here first before we take it somewhere else. I think that's what Trump kind of understood. He's like, look, let's fix here. Make America great first. Again. America first, right? Let's make us first.
You gotta be careful with the on the street Hungary argument.
I know.
If you draw the line at Hungary, that's okay. On the street, not so much.
I'm being facetious with the word. I'm just saying, like taking care of ourselves. I only use that as like a because
you do have like people on the street.
Of course, they want to be
sitting. It's like, okay, let them do them,
and they want to be, But I'm saying the availability of all those things.
It's important that you pick and choose where you go. Because like we've talked about this before, where like you got these really poor countries in Africa, and it's like, okay, you go there, you build wells and stuff, but these countries are run by like warlords and like. So it's like investing money in these systems isn't necessarily going to amount to anything.
Goes right to them.
Yeah, it goes to the warlords. It goes to, and it'll just change hands because there are all these factions that are constantly warring with each other. And one group will have power one year, and then the next year it'll be another group. And so it's like these places need to an extent get their shit together, and then once they got their shit together, say you have a situation like Afghanistan, that's different, where the Afghani people actually want to develop sort of more like the United States, for example. Say they actually wanted that. Doesn't seem like they wanted that, so maybe we should have never been there. But say you have a country that wants that, but maybe they're like Afghanistan, where it's like a desert nation, there's not a lot of wealth or whatever. It's like maybe we could take our technology that we've developed through all this wealth and sort of build up certain kinds of infrastructure in a country like that will help it enrich itself.
Yeah.
And then, but they have to, ideologically, they have to be in line. Because otherwise, like, the only reason we can be where we are is because of the sort of liberal free market ideology that generally we have here in the West.
The problem with that too, though, that idea, it's a great idea, obviously, but it's when you get a country that will step in and sort of help another country's infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, I mean everything, their government system, all that kind of stuff, at the behest of the country. Well, now they're beholden to the country that helped them in some way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like you saw that a lot with imperialism, where, the English would come in and they'd step in and it would help, quote unquote, help somewhere, by being a part of the empire, by being a part of that monarchy or whatever. At the time, it was good for them for a number of reasons, but at the same time, they were beholden to that country. So now they've got to give a certain amount of their food, things like that, right? So it's really not like it's
a certain kind of tax.
Yeah,
for,
like if you had almost like a mentorship for the betterment of man, then it would work a lot better, right? You're just going in. That's why these philanthropic things that you see are really, really cool. But unfortunately, I think they end up getting somehow perverted, like something like the Gates, Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation, right? Like
that's a rabbit hole.
Like who knows exactly? Who knows really what it is? Like it sounds good on paper, but who really knows?
Well, then you have them injecting. What do they inject? Like this malaria vaccine. I don't think it was. I think it was like a vaccine for malaria into all these people, and like they all got sick. Yeah. It's like it didn't help anybody, and it actually hurt everybody that they did it to. And it's like, what are they actually doing? And
that's what I'm saying. So it's like,
and then you get into like occult stuff.
But then you're going right back to like the circular argument, or not argument, but the circular discussion back to if we were to come across aliens, then we would. Then now it would be a different. Our reasonings would be different now.
Yeah.
Like for doing what we're doing, like it wouldn't be necessarily about.
It's a genuine fear that they're gonna the false alien invasion.
Oh yeah,
Werner von Braun on his deathbed said, "Beware the false alien invasion," which is like, because I think it was Werner von Braun. It might have been somebody else who said there'd be like a couple different things. There'd be like the third world despot. There'd be like the terrorists. I think it was the terrorists, then the third world despots, then something else. Before it got to extraterrestrials. And we see like the North Korea thing, we saw the terrorism thing, and this was something that was said like in the 70s or something by somebody, but it's weird that we're seeing it kind of play out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's I could see them doing it. I could see them doing it with a phony alien invasion of some sort.
Basically,
like
they're
that.
setting the groundwork.
Yeah. Feels like now they're with the UFOs, and
it's like it's not a question anymore that UFOs are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a question about like what are they?
I don't know, man. It's like
you fucking put your phone away.
Yeah, I know. We don't know. Okay. For example, I'm trying to think of a thought process here, but it's like COVID, right? When I've said to people about COVID, it's like we're gonna find out. This is what I feel like. We're gonna find out in a bunch of years from now, or maybe sooner, that there was one thing about us physiologically that made you had a bad case of COVID or not. Mm-hmm. Like whatever, if it's, like for example, like something like vitamin D or something, or like a lack of vitamin D.
Well, I would say like you have those are controllable. I think there'll probably be like a gene too.
That's what I'm saying. Like something, we'll end up finding something. There'll be like a missing piece type thing,
something
right?
Genetics.
But it's almost like the same thing's going to happen with like all this shit that seems to somehow weirdly correlate to some kind of weird end, like a new world order or something. Like everything's happening to try and destroy all these little things that we have in place so we can rebuild them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I don't know if, I've said this before, I don't know if we're smart enough collectively to put together such a thing that like a new world order that would actually somehow have some semblance of consistency or some semblance of like structure that actually would work and make sense. Like could they destroy everything?
Because I think it's all about power.
Yeah.
I think that's the
But
whole
then you would just
point
see
of the
like
whole
this just massive collapse in everything if they did it. Like it's like you want to break these things down, but in order to rebuild, but you don't realize what's going to happen when you break them down. Like you break this thing down and then just everything fucking collapses to anarchy because people are starving in the streets and shit.
Yeah.
People are killing each other with all the fucking guns we have, right? And stuff. And then they go, oh, how are we going to set up this new world order now? Like who's left to do it? You know what I mean? Like it's
Well, then you get conspiracy theories about the Georgia Guidestones.
the what?
Do you know about the Georgia Guidestones? There's it's like some mysterious stones in Georgia that have some rules about life on Earth.
Already, I said something about maybe perhaps playing poker tonight, and he was all like, "Oh no, I got plans," and now he's all bugging me to say, "Is it going on?" And I was like, "No, podcasting, man. It's Friday night, man. This is what we do."
It's like some rules in Georgia. I'm trying to find what they all say, but one of them is to not let the global population exceed 500,000 people. Some really small number of people.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Consider there's more.
Okay,
there's more in North America. What is? I wonder what the population of Mexico is.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, it's 500 million. Maintain humanity
That's
under 500 million in
Yeah.
perpetual
You said
balance
that,
with
500
nature.
million.
I said 500,000.
Oh,
was way lower.
I interpreted 500
But-
million. I thought you said 500.
Oh, good. This is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
500,000. There's more in Hamilton.
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Like, it's the population one that's really fucking weird. It's like, what the hell?
I mean, you hear that.
What do we
mirrored.
do with 7 billion people if we have to get it down to 500
You
million?
hear that mirrored all the time with like.
Oh yeah, this overpopulation.
Overpopulation.
Thing. Like, oh, yeah, we're overpopulated.
Well, they tried to scare. Well, I mean, I don't know if like they tried, but they kind of tried to scare people with the whole idea of like water shortages because of population.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, well, there's lots of water.
Well, is there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, both poles are freshwater frozen ice caps.
That's true, I guess.
We can get it from there if we really had to, but we don't have to.
No,
I mean, like here in Canada, we have a shit ton.
but it's I know,
So much
I
is
know.
flowing down into the United States, which I don't know. I feel like we should maybe block that off and get that under
should.
control.
We should.
Put some
tax
dams
them.
in,
We should
tax
tax
them
them
for
on
the
it, yeah.
water that flows down into the states.
Yeah, sorry guys, the whole water thing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for that.
Yeah, we liked it. You know, we like helping you with it and stuff, but at the same time,
You don't buy enough oil for us.
yeah,
No, we need to be producing
you know what?
more oil.
Oh, you want that water? You like that
Yeah.
water? Keystone water, maybe we'll
Yeah.
call it the Keystone pipeline versus water. Yeah,
It's just all the rivers that go down.
Yeah.
We just renamed a pipeline.
Yeah. Like the water pipeline. Yeah. Anyways, what else you got?
All right.
You're just hacking through a little list of stuff to talk about here.
Yeah. What should we go with next? Should we talk about the Trump lawsuit?
Sure.
It's only brief. I'll just read the headline. Donald Trump sues Hillary Clinton and allies over Russia claims.
Good.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
right?
Defamation, man.
Who knows?
You had no
what's gonna
fucking
happen,
proof,
though.
and it's proven to be bullshit.
Yeah, the article I have is really just talking about how like the people who are implicated are saying like, oh, it's bullshit, it's nonsense or whatever. But we've all been paying attention. We all saw Russia. It was all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's all nonsense. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. So I don't know.
Was this a long-term painting Russia to be the bad guys or something, so they could get behind this whole? Well, I'm saying like sort of long-term, like a 5
Russia
year.
ever stopped being the bad guy though.
No, not necessarily. I mean, when the Soviet Union collapsed, they kind of were just like Russia wasn't.
Yeah, because they were weak.
That's what I mean. Like they weren't
But,
really.
I mean, I think they've still kind of been like. It's definitely been more of a resurgence.
So weird thing is, every Russian I've ever met, like, there's not literally been one that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
I've never met a Russian that I haven't liked.
It's because they're hardy people.
Yeah, I like that about them.
Yeah.
And they're funny, and they're like, yeah, I like them. I love their like, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if it's like a strong work ethic or not, because I don't know. Like, I had 2 Russian guys work for me. They had strong work ethics, but even guys that didn't work for me, but I like knew through like work relations, they were just funny, cool guys. I like them. I don't know. I'm yet to meet a Russian guy or gal that I haven't liked. So I don't know. The idea of thinking that they're bad in some ways, it's laughable.
It's been weird that they've been going after like Russians.
That's what I mean.
It's not like the Russian government.
Yeah.
The
Russian we can all agree Putin's
it's the Russians.
Yeah, like Putin's a fucking, he's just like a thug.
Yeah.
So
he's former KGB.
That's what I mean. So you can he's a thug. He's like whatever.
He's not really legitimate.
He's kind of like a relic to me. He reminds me of like older Russia. Like, that's what I think of with him. I just think of like some ridiculous old moniker from like the old Soviet Union.
I mean, that is what he is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he kind of wants to bring it back, or at least bring Russia back to the glory of the Soviet
It reminds me
Union.
of Rocky. You ever see Rocky 4?
No.
Oh God, you want to laugh? It's fun.
Yeah.
It's so Rocky fights the Russian dude. And it's Dolph Lundgren. And Dolph Lundgren when he was a tank.
Oh yeah.
I must break you. It was just hilarious. And he goes and trains in Russia. It's like it's encapsulates for me encapsulates for me the idea of what it all was. The whole Cold War was to me like some silly, contrived bullshit that we all had to sort of swallow. Yeah. Like it was like, us versus them, always us versus them.
It was an ideological battle, right? What's better, communism or capitalism? Even though the United States isn't really capitalist, but
no,
what's better?
Yeah, but I love how they would always use communism and democracy. That was the term they used.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because the communists would be adamant that they were democratic,
right?
Aren't they? Yeah. Even though they were.
It was always democracy and communism.
That might have been a slight.
It was never capitalism.
Like a Cold War era slight.
Yeah, capitalism is always, for at least as long as I can remember, capitalism has always been kind of like a dirty word. You don't like capitalism is the word that you. It's like that's the bad side of democracy is capitalism, because that's like people being capitalistic and taking money from everybody.
They're totally unrelated though.
But I'm saying, but that was always sort of like the other bad term to it. Well, they're not completely unrelated. I mean,
they are. They're different things.
Well, you have a different.
Is like over here, and democracy is over here. You could have a dictatorship in a capitalist society.
That's what,
so they're not like tied together by any stretch.
Well,
in our democracy, we have capitalism,
they're not mutual. Like they're not mutually exclusive. In other words, but they are tied. It is tied. It's just not mutually exclusive. It can be on both sides.
I don't think they're tied at all. I think they're just independent. Like, how are they tied?
Well, you have much more ability to be capitalistic in a democracy than you do in a
but not out of necessity of it being a democracy. It's just the way that it's manifested.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
you could have a democracy. You could have a dictatorship. I mean, that was all about capitalism.
And this is the reason why I said it's not mutually exclusive, because you look at China now, and they're a communist government, but they're also
technically not communist because of the way communism is supposed to be.
They're like it's like new wave communism.
There's something.
They consider themselves communist.
Yeah, well, but it's a little bit different than that, because the idea of communism is that there is no government. So technically, they would be socialists, and they call themselves because obviously communism is the end goal, but you're not at the end goal yet. So that's
but you
why
say that, but when you look at like the Soviet Union, it was pure communist.
no.
Well, to
It was
what
socialist.
what the idea of communism is.
But this is just people not really fully understanding the words. Like,
Yeah.
so communism, there is no government in communism.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's this fictional utopia world of
Yeah.
like everyone gets along,
commune,
and shares
the
everything.
community. It's based off that.
There is no government in a communist society. So the Soviet Union was not communist, but they were communists in that they were trying to get to that goal, and socialism is like is how you get to that goal, and socialist is like government enforced communism, where you have a government that kind of forces people to adhere to live this way. And then the idea is that eventually as people, I don't know, I guess as you break the people and force them to live that way, eventually the government's going to erode because you don't need the government, right? So it's like,
It's almost like you have something that you're using as a table, but it's not a table. But it is a table because it's functioning as a table for you. So it becomes a table to you. That's almost like what communism's become. It's like, yeah, is it perverted from the word that it really originally should have been? Sure. But everyone knows communism as a certain thing. See what I'm saying? Like it's actual, so it's between the meaning that it originally had to what it's actually being.
Because that meaning is still exists. It's only in like the slang that people don't understand.
That's what I'm saying.
Communism is.
But that's exactly my point. I just said to you, if you have a table, if you have something that's acting as a table,
but
and everybody calls it a table,
but there's still a table, and there's still whatever that thing is
right.
at the underlying.
But if everybody understands that this thing is a table, like what we're on right now, which is really.
I mean, it is a table, but
it's a
poker. It is a very dangerous
table.
It's a very dangerous thing to just accept.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But for the last
like that,
the last near 100 years, it has been. Maybe longer even, but definitely since World War II.
But the communists know what communism. They know what they're saying and what they're doing. So it isn't like this. Isn't like this only exists in like the fucking nerd community where they're like, oh well, actually, this is what communism. Like they know what they're doing. The Marxists are very, very. Articulate and what's the right word? Like they have it all laid out.
Sure.
Like they
have a manifesto. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like they know what they're doing and they know what they're trying to do, and that's why they're so scary to me.
The understanding,
right? And it's dangerous. Like this is what socialism. Like I've heard people say this before. Like that. Like Canada and Denmark are socialist countries. Like no, not even close. Yeah. We're not even remotely close to a socialist country. And what they're doing is they're conflating social policies like universal health care for socialism. But it's not. Because socialism exists. There is no capitalism in a socialist government. It's entirely the government. Under socialism, the definition is that the government controls the means of production. And so if you have a private means of production, then it isn't a socialist country. And so if you have these things like healthcare in a capitalist-ish society, those things, like here in Canada, our healthcare system only functions because of our capitalist economy. Otherwise, it doesn't function at all. Otherwise, it's like Venezuela, where you might as well just not even go to the hospital, right? Because you need that engine to drive the wealth that allows us to just kind of.
You might as well not go to the hospital in Canada either.
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
Useless.
Yeah.
Useless, man. Been.
Yeah.
Been, tried, done. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's why I'd advocate for the hybridized system.
Same here.
If not fully private, but.
Well, I don't think fully private, but definitely.
Depends on how regulated it is.
Yeah, well.
You know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've definitely a hybrid system for sure. I've always said that.
Yeah.
Like I want choice, but I'm all for freedom of choice, right?
Well, I think we could do a system that was hybrid in the sense of like, say if you make less than $50,000 a year, you get your healthcare for free. It's subsidized by the government. You make more, you got to buy health insurance. And then, or if you don't buy health insurance, you go to the hospital and you get a bill.
There's nuance in there though too.
Yeah.
If you're self-employed, versus.
I think ultimately it comes down to how much money you made.
Well, if you're self-employed, you
Yeah.
can write off a shit ton,
Yeah,
and then you take your income down to next to nothing.
Yeah,
I might
you
make
can do it.
$250,000.
Right, but as long as
I
the
only
tax
show-
system is devised properly, if you make $1 million, but you had to put $950,000 into your business, you didn't make $1 million. You made $50,000.
Yeah, but that's kids. So you've never run a business.
No,
Yeah, I can tell you, that's bullshit. A lot of that's fucking bullshit. There's so many.
it's because
different routes.
it's not set up.
It's not
properly.
optimized. It's not optimized.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But
But
I'm saying
even if it was optimized, it doesn't matter. You can still find loopholes. There's always going to be loopholes because the optimization.
well,
is
by the
only as good
definition
as-
of optimizing, it would remove loopholes.
Well, the only way the optimization works is if you actually regulate the optimization of it. So you have people that are actually 100%
Yeah.
checking, but they can't. It's like anything when you're
Well,
quality control.
or you have very serious consequences.
If you're yeah, but you say that, but even there are serious consequences to certain things, and people will still go around them. There's only a certain amount of quality control checks you can do on anything. For example, like maybe it's 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is, before it's too costly to do it. So they just have to do it. Like for example, the CRA, apparently, again I'll say apparently so I don't get fact checked. It's around 10% of audits that they do outside of the height of tax season. It's higher, but inside of the height of tax season, it's around 10% of the audit. So if you could go your whole life without ever being audited, you're in the 90 percentile.
Yeah.
But and you can also, I've had people go, I get fucking audited every couple of years. I'm like, well, you're kind of unlucky, or you got red flags that they've now flagged you to say, hey, audit this prick, because they continuously
found
fuck around.
something somewhere or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
There are certain red flags, obviously, that'll pop out. But but to your point there, I think you're right. But I would agree with certain aspects of that, with some tweaks. But definitely for on the spirit of it, we agree completely. The hybrid system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good place to end it. Talking about hybrid system.
Oh, yeah, if you want to end it.
Let's end it. Yeah, we were into 2 hours now or something.
Yeah, we're at 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
We should talk sometime about lighter topics.
Well, I had some fun stuff lined up here.
Oh, did you?
We can do those another time.
Yeah. Do you want? Well, I mean, we could do it now if you want, or we could just do it another time. It's your birthday, man.
Well, I've got white supremacist fitness.
All right. Wow, you piqued my interest. Let's go.
All right, I'll pull up white supremacist fitness.
You can't. That's a teaser, man. You gotta wait till next week for
You gotta
white
wait till
supremacist
next week
fitness.
to get into white supremacist.
That
fitness.
sounds hilarious.
It is.
I want to get into it right now.
It is fucking hilarious.
You know me. I like talking about funny shit.
I got that, and then I also had some more out there, esoteric kind of conversation.
All right. Happy birthday to this guy.
All
It's
right.
because you want another beer soon, don't you? That's what it is. You're like, I'm just
all
going to drag
about-
this out for beers.
It's all about beers.
All right, sir. I'm going to be a sweetheart while you get that ready. I'm going to get you another beer because it's your birthday.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
I can tell by the weight of the can. You're right.
Yep.
You know why?
Why is that?
I'm a better person than you.
Really?
I'm intuitive.
That's what you say.
Everybody knows.
Okay.
Like how I roll it like that to you? That's my little...
That's your thing.
That's my trademark, man.
Your trademark is the little roll.
The roll the can.
All right. This article is taking
Pandemic fitness trends have gone extreme. Literally.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna switch it over.
I just read part of that and it seemed hilarious.
Oh, it's absolutely nuts.
I find shit funnier when it's not meant to be funny. You know what I mean? When someone's trying to be serious about something and it's so ridiculous that, like that article you were reading about, was it JP?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that just got me for some reason.
That's not
Like,
a very
our
serious
source, JP.
Of all the things,
It's trustworthy. He's trustworthy.
of all the things to find hilarious about that particular article, the one thing that actually is realistic.
It just sounded so funny to me. JP, their source was JP.
Oh man,
He didn't want to say his full name. It's probably John Pierre. John Paul.
why is this? Oh, don't want that.
Let's just be silent for the next.
There it is.
5 minutes.
There it is. All right. White supremacist fitness.
Yeah. See Kyle.
White supremacist's latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital. It appears the far right has taken advantage of pandemic at-home fitness trends to expand its decade-plus radicalization of physical mixed martial arts and combat sports spaces.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, initially lured in with health tips and strategies for positive physical changes, new recruits are later invited to closed chat groups where far-right content is shared.
That happened to me. I was doing I was doing some squat thrusts.
Yeah.
And then
like, hey,
Igor,
do you hate the Jews?
It was Igor, and he's like, hey, you know who invented those? You're in pain right now? And I was like, yeah, these hurt. And you know who invented those? The Jews. And I was like,
no.
What?
What
and
the hell?
Like, yeah, come into this closed conversation. I'll tell you more about it. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's go hate on him.
Earlier this month, researchers reported that a network of online fascist fitness chat groups on the encrypted platform Telegram are recruiting and radicalizing young men with neo-Nazi and white supremacist extremist ideologies. Initially lured with health tips and strategies for positive physical changes, new recruits are later invited to closed chat groups where far-right content is shared. Physical fitness has always been central to the right. In Mein Kampf, Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing they could help him create an army of millions whose aggressive spirit and impeccably trained bodies, combined with fanatical love of the fatherland, would do more for the German mission than any mediocre tactical weapons training.
Yeah. I can't even say anything, but that's such a perfectly written.
This is in this one thing where it's like masculinity is evil and the fucking, men are fucking bad. It's like Hitler thought that an army that could fight and was physically healthy would be beneficial. Oh no!
What?
The Nazis.
What? Where did he come up with this radical idea?
I know. Who told him this?
Wow. You know what? I'll bet you he's going to come up with the idea that someone that's in good cardiovascular shape could run or exercise longer.
That's too extreme.
That's pretty fucking extreme. I don't know, man. Wow. Are these some of the dill holes? No. This is
them just
MSNBC about the Capitol.
Yeah. This is an MSNBC article, by the way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The intersection of extremism and fitness leans into a shared obsession with the male body, training, masculinity, testosterone, strength, and competition. The U.S. is comparatively far behind, which will only become more and more problematic, especially since the phenomenon is growing in the country. Building on the established Fight Club culture of MMA far-right extremists, the leader of a Maryland skinhead group, for example, once ran a gym to recruit and train white supremacists in mixed martial arts. 4 members or associates of the racist violent Rise Above movement, the self-described premier MMA club of the alt-right, pled guilty to conspiracy to riot after the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. An online propagandist for the now-defunct group was spotted among protesters on January 6 last year when members of the white supremacist group Patriot Front marched in Washington, D.C. In December 2021. They were accompanied by a new media outlet created by RAM's founder, Robert Rundo, who's working to create a network of far-right MMA active clubs in the U.S. and abroad. I don't know.
Yeah, it was happening to me. I was working out the other day, and you reached out to me.
Yeah, I told you to come to the Nazi place.
To the underground Fight Club place.
Yeah.
Where we talk about all things alt-right and how hyper-masculinity is going to save humanity and the white race, I think, maybe. Right? That's actually pretty close. I'm regurgitating it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's about it.
Is it? Okay.
That's the idea. That's the idea. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank God. I'm trying to be part of this group. But I'm like, I'm an interim member. It's because I'm not like pure white guy. I've got a little Spanish in me.
this is just
It's just
so beyond
so
insane.
stupid. It's so stupid. But
That a mainstream media source like MSNBC would publish this.
and that's where like they don't realize that. Do they not realize that they're becoming the Inquirer now?
Well,
You remember the National Enquirer?
no.
Oh, you don't remember? Oh my God! So when I grew up, there was a magazine called the National Enquirer, and it would be the magazine. It was it was not a magazine. It was like a fucking paper type magazine, and it would report on the most like weird shit you'd read, like this an alien had my baby, and these kinds of weird shit. And you'd find it in the National Enquirer, but it was like a joke magazine. Everybody knew, right? But that's what they're becoming. They're becoming like the National Enquirer. So nobody's going to trust any of it.
This is just like a further attack on masculinity, where it's like, if you want to be strong and not a pussy, you're a far right extremist.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, do you want to like have a nice body and fucking be able to lift heavy things? Oh man, you must like Hitler, because Hitler wanted those things too. It's like, holy shit, Jesus Christ.
Same thing. If you want guns or any of that kind of stuff, you must be like, if you
It's
walk
like,
around
it's like
meek.
this idea that fucking anything masculine is bad. It's like, holy shit.
Well, it's kind of equal to the idea that, being a woman, a biological woman is bad either. Or not that it's bad, that it's like it's malleable in some way that you can I can just decide as a man I'm a woman now and it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's all these different weird things that we've just skewed the lines on, that it's anything with a hard scientific basis behind is it's fought against now. It's like no, that's not. Oh, gender? That's a construct.
Yeah.
That's a social construct. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? We just live in
what
the
are
world
we
of
doing
absurd. It's like it just gets further and further absurd. So then you don't even know what the fuck to believe anymore. It's almost like it's like they're doing it on purpose.
Gotta be, right? Like to try to subvert. Well, that's Yuri Bezmenov ideological subversion that he talks about. This you kind of, I don't know, you blur everything so that you can kind of slide your shit in there.
Yeah.
Right? Get everybody to kind of go along with you. That's what's happening.
Like it's like if you make everything seem so ridiculous when somebody, even no matter. Here, I'm gonna go. Fucking. Why don't we get back to the Nazis? But I'm gonna go right to the Nazis here. Think about what they were going through, right, in the 20s and 30s after World War I, right? With the Treaty of Versailles and all this shit, and and they're like starving, and they're so like they're in dire shape essentially as a country and as a people. And then you got a dude with what would have been crazy sort of ideas and such come in, and he's real charismatic, and he's promising all kinds of things going to be better under him and this new regime and stuff. And then he starts to show a little bit that it's getting that way. Like people are getting better and stuff as they, as things are going. And it didn't matter what he said at that point. He could say any fucking junk, any bullshit he wanted to say, and people would just believe it. Mm-hmm. It's like because they were just so muddled down with
just following the leader.
Right. And so at this point, they're just trying to destroy anything we know now. So then when somebody with any semblance of sense, whether it's common sense or just, for example, New World Orders, we're going to fix all this stuff. People are just going to, okay, well, yeah.
You know what this is?
Fix it.
This is like a fucking 40-something-year-old obese woman who's never been given a second look by a man who embodies masculinity her entire life, who is now trying to cope by saying that if you I don't know, if you are into fitness but in any capacity, you're the evil Nazi.
Or an incel.
Yeah.
Could be one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Or both, actually. I don't
they got together and they went, hey, let's write an article.
Nazis too, yeah.
Let's get on MSNBC. I hear that's the platform for us.
Yeah, apparently it is now.
My God. That's a funny article, man.
It's one of the most insane things I've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to get into the esoteric stuff?
Let's do it, man.
All right. This has to do with hold on. Let's see if I can pull it up. There's this I've been listening to a lot of podcasts by this guy Dean Radent. or something, and he's like the scientist that's kind of generally studying the concept of precognition.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like seeing the future in like dreams or whatever, right?
Right.
And it sort of led to a whole slew of studies into like consciousness.
If you talk about fucking DMT or some shit, whatever this time, like, I'm leaving. No, I'm just kidding.
No, this doesn't involve DMT. Although psychedelics are obviously related to these kinds of phenomenon.
Just because it's your birthday.
There is...
We should have done a whole psychedelic podcast because it's your birthday.
Oh, yeah, we could have.
Would have made you happy.
I
could have done a cake.
All day.
We could have done a cake that maybe was or wasn't here.
That maybe was or wasn't here with like DMT on it or some shit. Or it's like in the shape of the DMT molecule.
Yeah, there you go. We could have the fucking elves bring it out to you.
The elves. Okay, so this is a very fascinating experiment that I want to jump this conversation off with. I think this is still up. Yeah. So this is called the Global Consciousness Project. And ultimately what it is they have a bunch of random number generators all around the world. And what they're doing is sort of tracking the random number generators to global events. So like the number generators are going, and then as events happen, they kind of hone in on the data at that point in time to see if these events have any kind of impact in randomness, right? And these are like, as far as I can tell, the random number generators that they're using are like the best, most random that they can use. I think they explain it somewhere on here. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, the results showed that we calculated 1 in a trillion odds that the effect is due to chance. So basically, there's a shift.
Very low chance that it's chance.
Yeah. Basically, so the random number generators are generating random numbers, and then there's like a shift in the randomness. I don't know exactly how it works. They have the data. If I were to click on this, for anyone that's interested, the data is going to come up. And it shows, that's the chart right there. I don't really know how to properly interpret it, but as I understand it, well, what we're seeing is a deviation in randomness that correlates to global events in a way that doesn't make any sense at all. Like in the materialist perspective of reality, this makes absolutely no sense at all. And as they're saying, like the probability that this would just happen by chance is 1 trillion to 1. And so this is over like 500 events. So they're seeing it basically a consistent correlation between some sort of shift in consciousness globally, or at least significant enough where it's like millions of people maybe focusing on one particular event, certain things going on, and the like randomness itself is changing. So almost like the way I interpret it, and this might be wrong because I'm not. I don't know how to interpret this. I'm not a scientist.
Where's that dude that was on the podcast one time? He would have.
What's that?
That one dude that we were talking with the one time. He would have been like, "Here it is. Here's the answer."
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The guy from Ottawa. Remember that guy from?
Oh yeah.
He'd have been like,
guy.
"Oh, it's actually this." And that. He'd have it already figured out.
He was commenting on our last podcast.
Was he? I didn't notice.
So not during the podcast. It was after.
Oh, after.
But so. How I interpret this is, say you have a random generator generating numbers between 1 and 10, for example, randomly, and then something happens, and coinciding with that event happening, you just see like a spike in the amount of numbers over 7 happening, right? So it's like it's changing, almost changing the nature of randomness, where now all of a sudden, certain it's yeah. What are the right words for this?
You're losing me a little bit here.
All right. What do you think I'm saying so far? Because I don't know the right words to describe it.
I don't know. Try and describe it and I'll see if I can make sense.
So what's happening is they have random number generators all over the world generating random numbers. And they're tracking these over, with the data they have is 500 significant global events. And they're seeing a shift in the randomness to where there's appears to be a correlation between consciousness and the fundamental nature of randomness.
So in relation to what's happening, like, so people like
the idea is that as I don't know, maybe millions of people focus in on one thing, it is fucking with reality in a way that is impacting these random number generators.
Okay. So
they're seeing it. They're seeing like
up.
spikes in the data
But
that's
are they
coming
syncing
through.
up?
Yeah.
In some way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the event happens,
And then all
there's
of them,
something.
all of them they're starting to sync up, as if there's like a one.
It's not necessarily. I don't know that it's that they're syncing up, right? Like they're all producing sevens at the same time, but it's like it would be like there's a greater chance now that you get a number over 7 or something, instead of.
So whatever
typical,
they're using as a gauge is changing in a consistent way to seemingly
two global
be
events.
to seemingly
What should be
being
random. So you
effective.
should have a clear randomness.
Yeah.
Right, going through.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like the results are changing to global events.
Yeah, that's
Let's see
almost
if I
like
can find a better.
Wave technology, when you're the idea that everything has a wave to it, and you can change the wave nature of something. This is like sort of like a thought experiment they've done, where it's like where people, by essentially concentrating or doing things with their mind, they can actually control the different a wave output of something.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what this is saying.
Yeah,
this is saying that like with your mind,
that we're all like
you can
collectively
control things. Yeah, and so like as our global consciousness maybe shifts to one event or another, it's affecting the nature of randomness in general, or it's affecting the nature of reality in a way that is affecting the way that these particular random, so maybe it's not like randomness as a concept is being affected, but the way that these random number generators are working is being impacted.
Forget the name of the
which
the,
is
there was a movie. I think it might have been a movie. There's a movie that was released. I want to say maybe 20 years ago or something like that, where it did all this. It was what the hell do we know, or what the heck do we know, or something like that, and it talked about this. It was actually really, really cool. I'm gonna look it up real quick right now, see if I can find it. You've never seen it?
No.
Okay, you would like it because it's right up the alley of this, where it talks about this kind of thing, like collective consciousness changing. It goes to the secret and all that kind of stuff, where you think therefore you are type thing.
That's kind of what this stuff gets into.
So this is getting almost like into groupthink, where it's like when everybody globally thinks of a certain
consciousness field almost.
Yeah,
right. It's this idea that the materialist perspective is that you have physics leads into chemistry, leads into biology, leads into psychology, and then out of that comes consciousness, right?
Yep.
This, or at least according to this Dean Radin guy, his idea is that that's actually might be flipped, where you have consciousness at the core, and that goes into physics, chemistry.
2004.
biology.
What the bleep do we know?
Okay.
That's what it's called. Look at watch that. You'll like that.
All right, I'm gonna Google. I'm just gonna pull it up on a tab.
It's a 6.9 out of 10 on Watch Documentaries, but 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is weird. I thought it was quite good.
But then this is related to this other thing, this app that I'm gonna play with, but I'm afraid to. So we'll see how long it takes
like
me
a
to get
Ouija
around to it. Yeah, exactly. But more weird than that.
Yeah.
This app is called Randonautica, and it's connected to a quantum computer at some university somewhere. And if you look up the website online, it's got an in-depth explanation of like how it is generating these things. But the idea is, it gives you a random location on the map, And you can put in your radius, right? So it's not just like anywhere in the world. It's like near you. And the idea is you're supposed to have an intent. And the idea is that your intent is going to influence that random location. And people have been getting extremely, extremely weird results from this. To where it's like, just to give you a couple examples, off the top of my head, one person, their intent was to find something unexplainable. And so, they get their random location. The app takes them to this field in the middle of nowhere. And in the middle of this field, right where the pin is, it's just a couch. There's a couch in the middle of a random field in the middle of nowhere that happened to be exactly right on the probability of that is insane, right? So the idea is that possibly, or maybe even likely, consciousness is impacting sort of what this app is doing. And there some of the events are a little bit more creepy. Like one person had the fuck are you talking? Oh, okay. One person, their intent was to find something creepy. And it's like this girl and her boyfriend, they go to the location that the app gives them. And it's just this the pin is like in this dense wooded area. They're kind of looking in to try to see if there's anything in there. They don't see anything. They don't think there's like, whatever, it's a dud, right? They go home. A couple years later, it might have been months later. I don't know exactly the timeline, but in the future, in that exact spot where the app took them, the police found the body of a girl that had gone missing years prior to even when they used the app. And so the body was there when they went there. And that's where the app took them, is to right where that body was.
That's weird.
Very fucking creepy. There's another one where a guy, his intent was opportunity, right? The pin landed right on this this country club so he was between jobs at the time. It might have been a girl. I don't actually know. This person was between jobs at the time, and they had actually applied to this country club a couple weeks prior. And they kind of forgot about it. It's one of, you're applying for jobs, you might forget some of the places, right? And so they figured, because the app said that, they figured it out on a whim. It's like, all right, well, I'll head over there and touch base, see if they've looked at my application or whatever. Literally, as they're driving over there, they get a phone call from the manager of that country club asking them to come in for an interview. How fucking weird is that?
It sounds weird. How
probable are these events to happen naturally?
Well, I'm saying no, but how credible is it that they actually did happen? These weren't sort of like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, it sounds cool. I'm
not inclined to
not
think
believe
that
it.
all these people are just making stuff up.
Maybe I
think that's like the trap that you fall into in the material.
I'm just saying, look, as a devil's advocate to say it.
All I'm saying is, as a whole picture, some of these could be made up. They absolutely could be, but it's not like there's one story.
Listen, I do believe this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So you're hitting.
I'm just trying to make a bigger picture right here for anyone that might be listening, thinking, "Oh, this is nonsense." But the bigger picture is that there seems to be something fundamental to consciousness that's impacting our reality.
Yes. And
like we've talked about this, like it almost feels like one of us or both of us manifested each other into sort of hitting, I don't know, being in the same place at the same time.
This is a little bit simple, but also silly weird. That my twin sister calls me, tries to call me in the middle of the podcast. I text her and say, "What's up?" And she says, "It's too late. I got Little Caesars already." And we got Little Caesars. Like, I got Little Caesars.
Little things like that.
I literally haven't had Little Caesars in, I'm not shitting you, a year?
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be my go-to
That's actually
usually.
fucking crazy.
And my sister would be the same. She never has Little Caesars. It would be anything else but, usually. Like, every once in a while, like, get one because it's easy to grab. But that's fucking weird.
It's
already
weird
in itself. And that kind of shit happens all the time, right?
Well, and then I mentioned the thing about the fucking loop that you did in the gate.
Right.
Right? It wouldn't be weird if you had just built that gate and I looked at it and I thought, I bet you could loop that through. And then like 2 weeks later you did it.
Yeah.
It's weird that gate's been there for months and months and it didn't work. And probably, you said you did it at 3 a.m.?
I did at 3 a.m.
So I would say within 12 hours of me looking at it and thinking, I bet you could do a loop like that, but haven't already been walking away. It's like, I'll fucking do it later. You went ahead and you did that. You implemented that same solution. Yeah. That's such a weird synchronicity. Mm-hmm. And this Dean Radent guy,
we should experiment it. We should like truly experiment with it sometime, because like I've told you this.
Do you want to try remote viewing the stock market?
We can try whatever you want, man. As long as it's small enough. This is a real. But it's got to be small enough that you believe that you could do it.
Yeah. No, this is.
Like if you start thinking about like winning the lottery or some bullshit.
Yeah, but people have done that.
I'm not saying they haven't.
But that takes skill.
So watch this. What the bleep do you know? You're gonna really like it. I think it's in that where this woman talks about that she wrote down on a piece of paper a number of what she wanted to win money, and it was something astronomical, and she put it under her pillow, and she just kept like sort of manifesting like that, and then she won it. Yeah. And it was, I don't know if it was exactly the number or super close or some shit. It was like a Powerball or something like that. There's a lot of these kinds of things where you manifest stuff into your life, right?
So when I mentioned the stock market, that's it's based on this. I don't know if I mentioned. I think I mentioned this to you. There's an interview that Eric Weinstein did. Eric Weinstein and this other guy did an interview with this guy called Hal Puthoff. And Al Puthoff, he's kind of somewhat involved with UFOs, and he worked within the government. He might have worked within Project Stargate. I'm not sure.
But then he put it off for a while.
Project Stargate was...
nothing. I'm just going to roll past my silly pun there.
Oh, what do you say?
Said put off. I go, then he put it off for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to roll past that silly pun. It's dad joke. Hal Puthoff, he may or may not have been involved in Project Stargate, and Project Stargate was the U.S. government's remote viewing program that went on for 20 years or something.
Okay.
And basically, he has a public experiment that they did with remote viewers where they... there's a whole methodology to this. So I guess what they did was... so if you and I were doing this experiment, so I say maybe because this is an experiment that has been done by multiple people with successful results, and I've been interested in maybe experimenting with. I want to like get into meditation, really exploring the mind, like without psychedelics, and see what can go there. Like with psychedelics too. I'm not like putting psychedelics away, but play around with these things because apparently they say that like anybody can learn how to do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm well, kind of interested. Might as well try, right? But let's say you and I were doing this experiment. How you would do it is, I don't know what you're doing. You're picking two objects. Maybe you're taking an apple and this pen. So you have an apple in this pen. A beer can in this pen. You're going to label one of these objects, mark it up, mark it down. And I'm going to try to remote view one of these objects. I don't know either of these objects, but it is important that you're going to show me the object that correlates with the results. So, for example, we're doing this on Sunday for the market results on Monday. So on Tuesday morning, you're going to show me the object that correlates with what happened on market on Monday, whether I get it right or not. Whether there's any kind of, and so by doing this, they managed to predict the market with a 70% accuracy, and they made a bunch of money doing it. And there were other experiments that other people did mimicking it that had similar results, which is very, very, very fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not necessarily saying it's likely that you can just go ahead and start predicting the stock market by doing these weird things, but there are weird things to reality that I don't know.
Well, I've said this before. Like I've got all kinds of hypotheses, or not even hypotheses, just ideas on what could be happening. Different things. Like, if you
I've told you I did see the future in a dream one time,
right?
Or at least I had a dream that was so weirdly coincidental that the odds had to be like a gazillion to one that it would just randomly
maybe we manifest realities into
the other thing. That's the other idea is
like
that,
alternate realities, and we end up like we're like traveling through, and so essentially like this
that's
reality.
I've had. What if every possibility is
a reality.
simultaneously happening.
Right. So then if you think a certain way, if like, you know, I don't know, something simple, you want a pizza, and then you decide in that reality to get a pizza or whatever, and then you're into this reality. So we're just interchanging through realities all the time. So it doesn't matter how big of a thing it is, really. If
That
you
almost
can,
scares me too.
like if you can,
Because like, what if you could slip out of the reality you're in and then things are worse?
Yeah, why not?
I wonder.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know.
And why couldn't you just slip, like, you know, like when something bad happens to you?
You obviously can't control it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe you can control it, but
you're not consciously
aware. You have
aware.
to learn how.
Yeah,
to
you're not consciously aware of control.
To control it.
So what if like, for example, when something bad happens to you and you go, oh, bad things always happen in threes. Well, they happen in threes because you believe they're going to fucking happen in threes.
Manifesting it.
And then you manifest those three different things. And then once you've hit that third thing, you go, all right, I'm clear. And so you are clear. But some people just cannot stop manifesting bad shit repeatedly over and over and over. They get into a bad cycle.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Some people are just positive as fuck.
A big part of it is you have to believe, as cheesy as that sounds, because if you don't believe it, well, you're just self-sabotaging, because that means you believe that it isn't usually.
If you do anything, if you're spending your time doing anything, you don't believe you can do it, you're probably not going to do it. There's those simple sort of things like Tony Robbins even talks about this. He goes like, self-talk, right? When you're talking to yourself in certain ways, you'll say like, I can't do this. And you repeatedly say you can't do something. Your mind's not going to make you a liar. You just won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you ever something simple like not being able to find something simple, like, I don't know, like your keys to your car or something like that. And you're like, fuck, I can't find my fucking keys. And then you're just like, you're looking forever and you can't find them. And then you say to somebody, I can't find my keys. And then they go and look and they go, your fucking keys are right over here. It's almost like you couldn't see them because your brain is telling you, you've been telling yourself repeatedly you can't find them. So it's like
you're like
you
mentally blocking them.
Yeah, you're not going to make a liar
you're
of yourself.
manifesting that you can't find them.
So these are simple things. But
there's a weird thing that my old boss. So I used to work for a furniture store. It was run by this very nice couple and their son, and the woman, she was very, very religious, like Christian kind of religious. And, you know, I never pressed her on it. I didn't talk to her much about any of that, right? Like, my relationship with her was very much business, right? Like, you know, whatever, when I was around her, she was, like, telling me what to do, basically. She was, like, usually the money person, so she usually had her checks and everything. But one day, she said something that I didn't press her on, but maybe I should have. But I feel like the kind of person that she is, I didn't really want to necessarily get into this conversation because I would go a very occulty route, and I think that to her that route is very like dark and evil, just based on things that were said about her. But she was, I guess I was supposed to bring a list to the store, which I did, but she was concerned that list would get to the store because if she didn't have that list, she said, I would just have to go around looking for soul signs, is what she said. Soul signs is what she said. And it's almost sounded to me like what she was saying was that she was in a almost psychic kind of way. If she needed to find something or know what something was, there was something telling her what it was that she could kind of follow and find if she needed to. Obviously, it's easier with a list, but these things happen. People have these experiences, and it's largely correlated to believing in them. And so it's like, I'll tell you the story of this Dean Radin guy that I keep bringing up by name. So he's basically studying this stuff scientifically. I didn't realize that this stuff had as much, it's completely ridiculed in the scientific community by the materialists, but in terms of the actual data that they've collected and the research they've done, it's pretty valid, and it's pretty, like I just said, that experiment that I pulled up, the odds of it being, of the results being by chance are 1,000,000,000 to 1. Like that's a serious correlation. And but this guy talked about how he had a very interesting manifestation, experience where he was trying to manifest a lab, right? With a lot of expensive equipment, gear, stuff, maybe even some people. I don't remember the details, but the kind of thing he didn't have the resources to just go out and get, right? And one day, so he had an office in this place, and there was this other guy who was trying to manifest him, because this guy is very outspoken in this kind of with this kind of research, and so I guess this guy knows about him and wanted to talk to him or work with him or whatever. And so just one day, and so in his attempt at manifestation, he had like this whiteboard that I don't know what exactly he was doing on this whiteboard, but it was an attempt to manifest this lab. And one day, in the hallway of his building where he was working, he bumped into this guy who was trying to manifest him. And this guy who was trying to manifest him, he was working literally in the next room over, where the wall where that whiteboard was against. So it's like these weird fucking things, man. They happen all the time.
I think they happen all the time, and they're unreported a lot of time. Like people,
a lot of times people don't talk about it.
Like the Little Caesars event.
Yeah, you're not gonna fucking.
I just did though. I talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, but you wouldn't talk about that. Like if you and I barely knew each other and we worked together, you wouldn't come into work and be like,
"Oh, by the way,
hey, guess what? I had a weird telepathy experience with my twin sister." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, here goes. Okay, this is Alex. All right, he's the fucking weird telepathy guy." But fucking, I don't mind being the weird telepathy guy because telepathy fucking happens.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought, well, based on the secret and all that you can manifest things in your life if you believe that you can manifest them. If you believe they're possible, it's easy to do that. I find it easy for certain things because they're small and it's and replicatable, right? Like I've done it before, so it's easy for me to do it. But
it's easier
or outcomes
to
and
believe
stuff.
once
happens. You've done it. Yeah.
The more weird stuff you experience, the more.
This is why I've said like people that are multi-rich, like very, very rich, can just do
like
it,
unlimited money rich.
They can just do it over and over and over again. Like they could lose it all and then just redo it again. Yeah. Because they did it once and they know what the secret to it is. Yeah. And they have the ability to they have, or the belief that they know they can do it. Like that's the whole.
I do think though that once you get that kind of rich, it's not necessarily that because you have the belief you could do it again. I do think there is a lot of stuff to it that, like, go back to a hockey analogy, right? Like
you have the skills.
Once you learn how to, like, you know the Michigan goal?
The Michigan goal? No.
It's where the puck's laying flat. The guy has a stick.
Oh, you pick it up like
picks
this.
it up, flips it around the corner.
Yeah, like that.
It's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? But once you learn how to do it, you know how to do it, so you could do it again. Right? I think that's probably more analogous to the getting stupid rich and being able to do it than. Yeah. I mean, the belief obviously helps.
I think it's more the belief. I think it's more the belief.
You think it's more?
Yeah, I think it's more.
I don't know if it's more.
I
don't think it's not insignificant.
Because it's unless you do the exact same thing and you use the same formula, then that's different. But if it's just if it's a brand new thing,
at what level are you using the same formula? Because at the interpersonal level, at the doing business, at the building connections, you might be doing something completely different, but all those people skills and knowing what to say and who to talk to and where to be.
Yeah, true.
Sure.
That's reflexive. But I mean, just the idea that you hear it all the time. This person can just, they can just turn fucking shit into gold. Right. I just think it's like the idiot savants of something. It's just this. Once you have this innate belief that you can do it, that you can obtain something or attain something, you will do it repeatedly over and over and over.
Right.
But
maybe.
Yeah, you know what? Watch that thing.
I will.
What the bleep do we know? You're gonna like it because it talks about like changing waves, and it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. But again, it's like almost 20 years old now, so it's a little dated, but at the same time, it's
probably
good.
The same concepts.
Oh yeah, it's really, really good. I think it might even talk a little bit about what's that homeopathy. Do you know what homeopathy is?
I've heard it before. I have known what it is. It's leaving my mind. Does it have to do with like just like sort of psychic healing?
Yep, to some degree, but it's not really psychic. So,
It depends what we define psychic.
yeah,
as, right?
yeah. But it's changing the waves of something. So, like for example,
Okay.
if like let's say you wanted to cure gonorrhea, the idea is that you would literally
cancel out the gonorrhea waves.
well, kind of.
Yeah.
The idea is.
I mean, I laugh at that like it's a ridiculous concept
Yeah.
because it sounds ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it's less ridiculous to me than I would.
But the idea would be basically, let's say you took a glass of water, right, and you put a dose of gonorrhea in the water, right? The water is operating at its own waves, like it has its own wave pattern essentially. The gonorrhea has its own. Then you would put the gonorrhea into the water. You jostle it, shake it. You're changing the wave pattern of the water to match the gonorrhea, essentially, right? And then you dilute it some more and change it. So you're keeping the same wave pattern, essentially, with gonorrhea, but you've diluted it. And you just keep diluting it, essentially, till you have essentially just water with the wave, with the gonorrhea wave, essentially. So there's no actual gonorrhea left in it, but it's operating at the same wave. So it would act as like a neutralization to it in your body. That's essentially, I'm probably butchering it, but essentially somewhat of how like homeopathy works. That's why people call it fucking hogwash, because
It's outside of the materialistic,
Right.
dogmatic worldview.
right. But
I think there's a lot of
homeopaths-
evidence that worldview is wrong. Like, there's a lot of things it gets right? Like it lets us make things like this, right? This is way more complicated than you think, right? Because you look at it, oh, it's just a fucking can, but like, you really think it's just a fucking can?
Good luck. I'd like to see you make it.
Make this, you know?
Yeah. If we don't have all the tooling.
materials. I mean, this isn't even just like a raw material. It's some kind of alloy probably. So there's multiple things in there. And then form it into this shape. And then also put the liquid inside and seal it. How do you do that?
And
That's
print
fucking
all the
crazy.
shit that's on the outside of it.
Yeah, and get this fucking thing on there.
Which is
Like,
not even like, it's really not even.
it's one of the most simple things in our society. And it's unbelievably complicated.
It's really not even like paint.
No.
It's just the weirdest thing about it.
It's like a really thin sticker thing. Because I think you can get it off if you really fucking
No,
try.
cook it and see what happens. Put it in fire and it just burns. It burns the same. It's like it's part of the metal.
Yeah. Wow.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. So
It's-
do that.
Yeah, that's
right.
what I
You
mean.
think it's really simple, but do that. But it's unbelievably complicated, and it's like,
So I think what we should do is I think you should watch that show. I'm gonna watch it again just to
to refresh.
and we'll talk about it next podcast. And we'll do a whole podcast on the idea
The
of
esoteric,
sort
sort of the occult.
well, that too, and the power of
Well, it is all the occult. People misconstrue what that actually
Yeah, true.
means, because occult is just means hidden. This is all just hidden stuff. Because
but it's not necessarily hidden anymore. Because look at the secret and all that shit. It's all
but
like,
it is. It's there, but it is hidden.
Yeah.
It is still a cult because it's ridiculed.
not as much as it was. The secret is like mainstream now. Yeah, the secret is more of a mainstream thing, and it's like it's kind of like a
No, it's
like
not.
people.
Joe
Yes, it is.
Rogan was making fun of it.
Well, okay, but Joe Rogan makes fun of things sometimes that he doesn't completely understand and
Yeah.
isn't like
But that's
privy
mainstream.
to. Like he makes fun of a bit, like he doesn't make fun of it anymore, but he kind of used to make fun of like cryptos in some way, or he would like
True.
kind of like put it down in a way. He'd be like, I don't want to do that. He is a bro. He's like set in his ways on certain things, but no.
But he has experienced the L's.
As far as it goes with the secret, it's the problem is that people take the idea of it and then they push it further than anything. They go, oh, you can manifest anything in your life. No, you can't. You can't manifest
for no effort too.
Right, exactly.
A lot of it is
You just think hard enough,
you have,
and then it's gonna come.
Yeah,
to me.
and you can just do nothing all day.
No,
it's like,
it's-
all right, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Okay, great. I believe I'm gonna be. We're gonna sit here on the couch. I'm gonna play video games
Right.
all day until I'm a millionaire.
And that's
It's
what's
like,
wrong
no,
with
no,
it. That's what's wrong with it.
You gotta
But
do
people that are
something.
highly successful
Yeah.
understand that there are a lot of elements of it that they already innately use.
Right.
You can't make somebody love you or be in a relationship with
Yeah.
you or something like that. I can't win somebody's affection
Yeah.
by thinking about, I want them so much.
Yeah.
But perhaps with these thought processes, you could
can
create
maybe act in a way that
And-
is attractive to them or
yeah,
something.
or you could just create instances and opportunities that allow you to now interact with that person where you didn't have that before. Like now that you're open, like now that that you're putting into the universe the idea that you want this thing, the universe is like, okay, all right, and it's moving different things around to say, hey, all right, now I'm going to kind of put you into this specific weird
Here's your
situation
opportunity.
where
Do
you
something
normally
about it,
wouldn't
right?
have been. Right. So that's where I think a lot of people innately understand it, but where it loses its merit is the whole, I can just think about anything. I can sit on my
Because that's
couch.
what people want. People want to be, they want the fast track. They want
Of course,
the
it's like
easy, the
it's
fucking
like getting in
shortcut,
shape.
Yeah.
I can take this pill. I'm not gonna say who,
I
but I
take
know
this pill.
somebody that I know well was talking about taking a pill that would basically change the fat in their body.
Change it.
Yeah, to turn it into liquid so they would urinate it out.
What is this pill?
Right. I go, you know what? That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And if it did exist, you'd be paying a lot
And
more
a lot
money
of
than
these things, like,
$39.99.
there are things that you can do,
Yeah.
but it all has to be around hard work.
Effort.
You have to work out
You got to
hard,
put effort. Yep.
and you have to have a pretty clean diet.
Mhm.
That's about it.
I mean, there are things you can take like steroids and stuff like that will definitely help along. I know guys that have taken steroids and not done shit and not gotten anything. I worked with a guy.
Because you're not going to get anything.
I worked with a guy that was taking steroids, and I mean, at first he was doing a little bit, so you could start to see it,
Right.
and then he stopped. And he's like, "Oh, they're not really working." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing though? Are you working out?" Well, I worry like
You
once
just
a
thought
week.
it was
type
a
thing.
magic
I'm
thing.
like, "Yeah, it's not magical, man. You gotta still lift things. You gotta
do
lift
things,
heavy
gotta
things and
lift
put them
heavy
down,
things, and you got to lift as heavy as you can, probably.
and you gotta eat like a motherfucker."
Yeah.
That's the key. I mean, you could
Yeah.
take steroids and not work out
Yeah.
and eat like a motherfucker and put on a lot of
Although I
size.
feel like I have discovered the holy grail of fitness,
You probably have.
because I have been simultaneously burning fat and building muscle for the last 7 months, and I've made a lot of progress.
Yeah,
in
the
that
holy grail
7
is your
months.
25 dick bag.
Well,
All right.
listen, a lot of people are 25.
Wow. All right, let's not get into this rabbit hole. Let's end it
Yeah.
there.
All right.
But yeah, so just a little sneak peek of next week. Are we like delayed? Why do I feel like we're delayed for a second? It looked
No.
like for a second we were delayed.
No, we're pretty on.
Okay, no, it looked like
Maybe
my,
half a second.
it looked
but
like my mouth was moving delayed. But we're gonna do this whole thing. We're gonna spearhead it on that. We're gonna try and gear everything we
next
talk
episode
about.
is What the bleep do we know?
Well, yeah, we're going to try and gear everything to talk about that and stay on that topic. So next week, it's not going to be topical. It's not going to be bullshit. Well, I mean, we will talk about
Unless
some topical
something
stuff.
happens.
Well, yeah, but we'll roll it in a little into the common theme will be that, because I think
about
this would be a whole podcast.
Well, I do
we
think
could
there is
explore.
an occult angle to everything that's happening in the world.
Yeah,
So,
and we will discuss it
Yeah.
next week. But
all right.
for intensive purposes, so that we don't cut the video short, like
We're
we
going
always
to
have to
ramble
do.
on and on.
Let's just
and
ramble on
We're
for a
gonna go
second.
and go and go.
We should-
And
Hey, we should come up with a song at the end. Like,
well, yeah, I realize that's why people have outros
Yeah.
for their live streams. For us, it's just this. We're killing time right now. Some of this is going to get cut, but
You won't even know. So it's exclusive to anybody that would be watching right now.
That's